What really gets my dick hard is...
So fucking what?
Hey, this is Rye from Sabbath Bloody Podcast, and my brothers, Clint and Ethan, are about to shove some metal up your podcast, one episode at a time.
Welcome to Metal Up Your Podcast. I'm Ethan Luck.
And I'm Clint Wells.
This is episode number 84. Man, we're getting up there.
I know.
Wow. But this episode, we're doing a part 2 of the gear episode. This week, we're talking about Kirk Hammett's guitars.
Yeah, the James Hetfield gear episode went so well. I must say, I'll eat my own words. I was surprised. I didn't think it would go over so well, but
it did.
The fans have spoken. They really liked it, so we've decided to go ahead and do our part 2, talk about the Hamsters' notable guitars. We can't do all of them.
Not all of them, but notable.
But his notable guitar, and even his notable guitars were like 25 guitars.
Yeah, there's a lot of guitars.
So we're going to burn that whole thing down, talk about what's different, what's special. Kirk has his own kind of flavor.
Yeah.
Even beyond the graphic prints that he does for the horror films, even to his pickups and his tremolo systems. Before we get into all that, if you're just joining us for the first time, amazingly, somehow, you just heard of us.
How?
James Hetfield just tweeted about it yesterday, maybe. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
Maybe he didn't.
I don't know.
Probably,
I don't follow him on
probably
Twitter.
So.
We're an All Metallica podcast. Ethan and I are 2 touring professional musicians who get together once a week to talk about our favorite Metallica metal band, Metallica.
I love my favorite Metallica metal band, Metallica.
I literally never say that right. We get together to talk about our favorite metal band, the Mighty Metallica.
The Mighty Metallica. See,
whatever.
That was easy.
It was pretty easy.
You did it. I'm so proud of you.
I like me today.
I like you so much.
All right, before we get into that, we're going to burn through some housekeeping. We have an iTunes. The people have been going and leaving reviews.
Yeah.
They really have. The reviews keep going up.
You know what I think it was is when we told them not to do it, it's like telling a kid
reverse psychology.
Yeah, it's like telling a kid not to touch the hot burner on the stove.
Right.
He's going to do it.
Don't touch the sour tooth. Ow.
Exactly. Ow, ow. So all I have to say, we have an iTunes. We thank you for leaving us reviews. And you know what? Don't keep leaving us reviews. That's stupid.
I mean, if that's what really worked. I mean, we're really lucky that we do have a lot, and we have a lot of momentum on the review thing.
Right.
However, it does only take a second.
Right.
And so, if anything, it's just a quick little thank you if you dig the content of the show.
Yeah.
We can't stress enough, though, if you don't want to do it, no problemo.
It's fine.
It's totally okay.
You don't have to. No one's forcing you to do anything.
We also have a Patreon. And if you don't know what that is, it's a really cool way. It's patreon.com/metalupyourpodcast. You're going to hear about it a little later. But it's a way for you, if you really do like the show, beyond wanting to leave a review, you can go camp out there. You can donate money, but we give you all sorts of shit back for it. One of the coolest things, which we haven't really mentioned in a while personally, other than the commercial, is Ethan and I made a really bitchin' covers EP.
Yeah.
We fully recorded it. We played every instrument on it. We mostly did deep cuts, and we did them differently than you might think. We did not. We sort of reimagined them, put our own spin on them, had it professionally mixed and mastered, and the only way to hear that is over at Patreon.
That's correct, yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
It's very cool.
And every month we give away 5 gifts to our patrons, which we have the July winners that we're going to announce on this show.
Yeah, we're going to announce them at the end of the show.
Now, I just wanted to say something real quick about the Patreon. I've been thinking about it.
Please.
Now,
what's on your mind, Clint?
Everyone take a knee. Remember,
Clint's going to say something.
Remember when you were like in the high school gym class and the coach of that class was like the coach of the football team?
Yeah.
And he'd kind of treat the class like you were on the football team? But I was always kind of like, I'm not on the fucking football team.
Yeah.
All right, man, gather around, take a knee.
Take a knee.
Wait, this is gym class. This isn't football practice.
You can't take a knee nowadays.
Dude, I slept weird on the bus the other day, and my back has been hurting for like 8 days.
You've been taking a knee during the show?
I can't do anything physical anymore. the risk of hurting myself.
Clint, welcome to the age of your life where things start breaking down and the warranty is expired.
Remember when you were a kid and someone would fall down, you'd be like, haha, that's funny.
Yeah.
If I see an adult fall down these days, I'm like, hey, are you okay? That could be really serious.
I still kind of laugh. If I'm in my car and I can't like get to anybody, you know, if I see someone like walking across a crosswalk and they kind of trip and like take a quick little tumble, and if they get up, then I laugh.
If they're okay, as I'm walking away, I will smirk or giggle or laugh, even if it's just in my mind.
Right.
But when it goes down, it kind of feels like a serious event.
Oh yeah.
You're like, whoa.
When you pass like 35,
It starts to get dicey.
yeah, like when I go to the skate park and I take a tumble, it takes me a lot longer to get up.
About 6 months.
In one case, it did take me about 2 months. I bruised some ribs at the skate park one time, and I couldn't sleep on my right side for about a month.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it
like if
sucks.
I sneeze these days, I'm like, well,
Yep, time to go
pulled
to
a
the
muscle in my
hospital.
back. But I did want to.
Call the ambulance.
I was thinking, like, we get together every week, despite the odds. I mean, our schedules are so insane, and we keep the show ad free. It will always be ad free. We will never. We may have someone on here who helps us with a product that we love, like Tone Tubby.
Yeah, if we ever have a sponsor, that's different than just running an ad or something.
But we will never sponsor anything that we don't dig ever.
That's right.
And honestly, we've only had one sponsor in an entire year and a half.
Yeah, Tone Tubby.
So the content is completely unfiltered, unadulterated. This is just me and Ethan. It's what we think.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep it that way.
Yeah.
But one of the things that really helps us do that helps it make it worth it, is the support we get at the Patreon.
Correct.
And everything sincerely different about the show, I believe, or elevated or cool about it, in terms of the EP, the T-shirts, the bitchin' website we have, is only possible through Patreon.
Correct.
So we just think the world of the people who get on the ride at that level.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to say about it before I know people are tired of hearing this already, is if you can't do it, if you can't donate it, it's basically like a cup of coffee a month. $5 a month really goes a long way for us.
Right.
Tens of thousands of listeners. If even 1% of you just do $1 or $5 a month, it goes a long way. But if $1 or $5 a month is too tough for you to swing, don't sweat it.
Don't sweat it.
Everything's cool. If you got shit going on with your personal life, or you want to support the show but can't really get on at that level, no problem.
Well, even just your feedback is support to the show.
Absolutely.
When me and Clint read emails, when we read reviews on iTunes, comments on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, that is encouraging to us, and that is support. So
absolutely. And we're grateful for all of you who listen. But I just really did want to shine a little light on the old Patreons.
Oh, yeah.
We got 3 new ones this week. We want to, at the bare minimum, we give them a shout out on the show. Do you want to name our new patrons?
I would love to. We have 3 new patrons this week. We have David Barnes, Richard Goldenson, and Brian McLaughlin. All right.
Let's give
everyone,
it up.
thank you.
Let's give it up.
Wow. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it. And by the way, this episode is sponsored by Heinz Ketchup.
Are you, sorry, I'm a Heinz guy, not a Hunts guy, right? There's those two. Hunts and Heinz are the two big
Hunts
ones in
and
the
Heinz
South.
are the big ones.
Heinz 57?
I don't buy ketchup that often anymore unless we're like cooking out or something.
Yeah.
But I'd probably go with Heinz. I try to eat a little healthier at my age, so that brand Amy's is an organic brand. You ever heard
My
that?
wife now gets the organic ketchup.
It's good. They make Amy's has a barbecue sauce that I love.
I think you know this, but I don't know if our listeners know this, but we're vegan at the house now, for real. We really are.
Yeah, Clint and his wife are vegan at home. And it's
funny after all the jokes I've done about you.
Agreed.
And you're not even vegan.
I'm just vegetarian. I started eating eggs again. That's the only difference. But
they're not real eggs. They're
it's
powdered sugar eggs.
Yeah,
made from
it's nutritional yeast.
Made in a cauldron by a demon witch.
That's right. In the depths of the 7th layer of hell.
No, so it was funny whenever Clint told me this, because I was like, my immediate thought when anyone ever goes vegetarian or vegan, I was like, well, if you need some help or want some pointers, or I can come over and show you how to cook tofu or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know how to eat tofu, so.
Oh, we're rocking a lot of tofu.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
What about seitan?
Yeah, there's a really great brand of fake, it's called Quorn, Quorn.
Yeah, they make good stuff.
And it's not soy-based, it's fungus-based, but it's not mushrooms. And we eat the shit out of that. I mean, It tastes exactly like chicken.
Another great brand is a brand called Field Roast. Make good stuff.
We do Morningstar sometimes.
Morningstar. Gardein is a good one.
Okay.
I'll make you a mixtape.
A mixtape
Yeah.
of vegan food.
I'm gonna write songs about all the vegan options that you should be eating.
Well, here's where you can definitely not hear me pontificate about veganism, is at our socials. Instagram, which we may even do an Instagram live after this. Well, who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe.
we can do a vegan cooking show. Metal Up Your Podcast in the kitchen.
God, just watch the followers. Just watch the unsubscribes. We're on Instagram, Twitter, amazingly all of this, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube. Just Google or look up Metal Up Your Podcast. We're on all that stuff. We're pretty active on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
The website, as aforementioned, metalupyourpodcast.com, with t-shirts. we just talked before the show, and it might be happening.
Yeah.
That we're going to do a special run of just 50 shirts of Lunar Satan and the Cover Our World Blackened EP cover.
The artwork, yeah.
We're talking about
Sans MU, Metal Beer Podcast.
It'll just be Nick
just the
Makoviak's
artwork.
amazing artwork.
Yeah, because having the title on there, I think we probably look goofy on a shirt. It's just
going to be the artwork. So stay tuned for that. Of course, that'll be fun. I forgot to tell everyone that I was a guest on Single Podcast Theory's maybe their last two. I can't remember. Their 50th episode. We did an episode on Eddie Vedder. Go check them out. They're great friends of ours. Good God. And we read 5 emails a week. Let's go ahead and go to the email corner.
I'm ready.
Okay. Our first email is from a vegan, and he says, I prefer tofu over seitan.
Anyone who prefers tofu over the Dark Lord Satan needs to just get out of the kitchen.
Okay, our first email is from Richard Golden Son.
The Golden
Child. Another
I
great Eddie
want
Murphy
the
movie.
knife. Please.
That's another good Eddie Murphy movie.
Yeah. Richard Goldenson, by the way, new patron. Thank you.
Says, finally took the whole 2 minutes to become a patron. It's not much, but hope it helps, guys. Keep on doing what you're doing. Cheers.
Well, we thank you very much.
Thank you,
for that,
Richard. We appreciate that.
Can I call you Dick?
Can I?
Dick Goldenson. That's a great lawyer name.
Dick Goldenson is a good porn name.
Can you finish this jingle? Call Goldberg 800-600-6014.
Today.
Did you ever grow up hearing that?
Nope.
You grew up in California, that's why.
Yeah.
Huge regional commercial here in
Really?
the South. Because here's what was genius about it. It was some sort of ambulance chasing horrible lawyer.
Right.
But that was the song. Call Goldberg 800-600-6014. And they played it like 18 times in the commercial.
Right.
To where
Fantastic
every
melody,
kid,
by the
every
way.
person my age knows that goddamn song.
Yeah. I don't know that one.
Do you have a similar one? Do you have a jingle you remember from
childhood?
adolescence?
Yeah. Okay. So there was, there's like the car dealerships are like someone's name Ford or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Come down
Town and Country Ford.
Yeah. Come down to Clint Wells Acura or whatever.
Hey, all right.
But there was Cal Worthington Ford in Long Beach, California. It was right next to where my grandma's real estate office was. And his commercials, it was always him with an animal that wasn't a dog. And it would say, it's Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. If you want to buy a car, go see Cal. If you want a brand new car, go see Cal.
But it
basically
wasn't
that.
a dog.
It was never a dog.
That's kind of far out.
It'd be like a pony, and it'd be like, it's Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. It was always a different animal.
I kind of love that.
Go to YouTube and you can probably find the old commercials like that. I remember those growing up. In recent years in Nashville,
Isn't that kind of that strikes me coming in fresh pair of ears here, fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah.
It's pretty far out.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dog.
He was probably pretty stoned.
okay.
No, and he was totally dressed like a cowboy hat and a suit.
Like
a
I kind of
bolo
appreciate
tie.
how out it is. It's kind of
Yeah.
outside.
I'm pretty
right?
sure Cal Worthington Ford is still there.
And with his dog Spot.
Probably with his
It
dog
isn't a
Spot.
dog.
He might not be around anymore, but I think the name is still there.
Did you guys ever have a Milo's? Are you familiar with Milo's?
No, I'm not.
It's a horrible, greasy burger place.
Okay.
Where their claim to fame is you have the burger and then they put like a little 1/4 of another patty. They tear off a little chunk of burger and put it on there also.
Ooh.
Now check out the jingle, okay? Here's the jingle for
I'm
Milo's. Everybody goes to Milo's. Now, even as a kid, this fascinated me because the selling point wasn't it's good or it's affordable.
Right.
It was just everybody goes
Everybody
there.
go.
And you don't want to be the fucking guy not going when everybody goes to Milo's.
That's probably how Carly Rae Jepsen got the song, I really, 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 really like you. That's a real thing.
She grew up in Alabama like me.
It's a real thing.
By the way, let's just listen to these commercials.
Here's Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. If you're little short of cash, go see Cal. Trouble's over in a flash, go see Cal. If other dealers you have cussed, here's a dealer you can trust. All you have to do is just go see Cal. You know, everybody in town is advertising new 88 model cars and trucks. We're selling 89s, brand new 89s at the very same prices. Look at this.
Everybody goes to Milo.
Well, somehow that just happened.
You know, the one in recent years that I know it's pretty national that I probably will never forget is. You about to sing?
No.
800-588-2300 Empire.
I don't know
Today.
that one. I don't know it.
Empire is like carpet place.
I don't.
No?
I haven't had cable in a long time.
Okay.
Well, but I've been to hotel rooms a lot, but I don't know that one.
Yeah, Empire carpet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it. Let's hear that one too.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
Wow.
Okay, I got another one.
Dude. Remember when we were 8? Okay. Our next email comes from Jeff Kozak. Says, hey guys, just listen to the first half of the Top 10 Solos episode. That was a while back. He says, I just finished Ethan's Top 10 and had to stop and write this. I, since the day of the Black Album came out, have always said that the solo for The Unforgiven is the best solo created. Hearing previous episodes and discovering how the solo was created makes a lot of sense. The passion, the feelings. The energy has always given me an emotional reaction every time I hear it. Clint's tear in the eye has happened many times in this solo for me and will last eternity in my book. Here's hoping that Clint has this as number 1 as well. Well, spoiler alert, I did.
Yep, we agree on that
Ethan
one.
and I had a unanimous number 1 on that. He says, cheers, boys. Can't wait to burn down the next 50 episodes. Love you guys. Well, thank you so much, Jeff.
So he's in like the, early 30s of episodes, I think? I don't remember
Are
what
we
episode.
going to do math right now? Is it math time on Metal
Math
Up Your
is
Podcast?
fun.
If we're on episode 84 and he's got 50 more, 34 episodes,
Yeah.
right?
Should we get a calculator out real quick?
Okay.
Jeff, thank you for the email. That was awesome. Robert Maher says, brothers, Ethan, your song Stand Down, is your song Stand Down available to patrons? I heard it during the last podcast and I really dig it. I'd like to include it in my listening rituals. Thank you. No, it's not. I am not sure when I'm releasing the record exactly, probably late September, early October.
Okay.
It all kind of depends on when the vinyl is going to be ready because I don't want to release them at separate times. I did that last time. I want it all to come out all as one big present for
It's
everybody.
hard to sit on that, right? Because you're so proud of it.
I want to put it out tomorrow.
And I got to tell you, Robert, I am lucky enough to have the record, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to rub it in, but it is good to wait, make sure everything's in place.
Yeah.
I do believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ethan, there is a Metal Up Your Podcast radio bonus episode that you might dedicate to the record.
Yeah.
In which case you'll play excerpts and...
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that for a radio episode, just like before it comes
think
out,
that'd be
maybe
fun.
playing like a verse and a chorus of each song.
That'd be
So
fun.
everyone can kind of get a taste of it. But it won't be a Patreon thing. This will be just an Ethan thing, but it'll be available on iTunes and Spotify.
Yeah.
I have a Bandcamp page it'll be available on. I'll have vinyl you can order sometime in September, stuff like that. So look forward to it.
And I'll say this, Robert. I mean, obviously, Robert's a patron, and we can't say how much we love the patrons enough. Having said that, supporting Ethan's solo work separately, I think, is philosophically, ideologically, and yes, spiritually important.
There you go.
So I would encourage you to buy the record when it comes out.
You heard it here first.
From the atheist, from
be Jared.
Cherish you go. Okay. David Barnes writes, "What's up, brothers?" I don't know.
What's up, brothers?
There we go. Hulkster's here.
Hey, Clint, it's been a while.
What's going on, Hulkster? How you
Not
doing?
much, man. Just ripping and gripping down in Florida.
Let me ask you, speaking of ripping and gripping, do you just have a whole bunch of leotards like in stock, or do you have a personal seamstress who fixes all these leotards you rip?
Let me tell you something, Clint. That makes me laugh every time. Let me tell you something, Clint. I got a whole house down in Orlando, Florida, dedicated to all that stuff. All my tights are down there. Every room is a different color. But there's only 2 rooms, because you know what colors those are. Yellow and red. Okay, I got a black room, too, because when I was in NWO.
I remember when you were in NWO. That was a really dicey
Yeah,
time.
me and
for
Kevin Nash,
Sting,
Sting,
the Wolf. Wait, Sting was in the Wolf Pack.
the Wolfpack,
Diesel.
Diesel.
Call Goldberg, 800-600-6014. All right.
Like how quickly I went back to Ethan voice.
Dave Barnes, what's up, brothers? Your old friend Dee's finally signed up to Patreon.
Whoa.
By the way, David, thank you. He says, I have so much to say to y'all, so consider this an introductory email. I'm 40 and have been a Metallica fan for 30 years. Yeah, do the math. No thanks.
Yeah. So you started at 25? Got it.
He says, I started early. Since I came online before the Black Album, I consider myself pretty old school. I remember listening to the Black Album and thinking, that's it? What happened to Metallica? I gave Load and Reload many chances, but instead consolidated my faves into a mixed CD that I dub Loaded.
Ooh.
He says, but thanks to your show, I've come around to both of them. We won't discuss that which will not be named, which I suppose he means...
Kill them all. Yeah.
Ride the lightning.
Yeah. He probably means Hulk Hogan and the Wrestling Boot Band.
So, I think that's coming up later, by the way. So,
really?
To acquaint ourselves with David, he gives us a succinct, so bear with us, and I found this interesting, a succinct list of some of his favorites. His favorite album is Master of Puppets. His favorite song, which I found very fascinating, is The Thing That Should Not Be.
Interesting.
He says, I remember hearing this at my friend's house at 10 years old, and the song scared me. I'd love to hear it remastered with Bob Rock's Black Album work. His favorite solo is The Four Horsemen. His favorite bassist was Cliff. Favorite instrumental, Orion. Those two things make sense to me.
Yeah.
His favorite musical moment in Metallica. 2 answers. Number 1, the bridge breakdown in Master of Puppets, especially the guitarmony. For those of you who don't know, do da do do da do 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 da do do da do do da do do da do 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 sha do 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 sa do do sa do do.
Heinz ketchup. Spread it on your hot dog.
Goldberg. Okay, and then he says, Dyer's Eve. I've outgrown that fucking lullaby. As a kid, I'd sing this so loud it had to register on a seismograph. He says also the Screech and Halo on Fire in the both Shall We Bleed. Halo on Fire.
Love it.
We didn't start the Halo on Fire. He says it's closing in fast, though. He says his favorite takeaways / revelations from Metal Up Your Podcast
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
are, number 1, My Friend in Misery was originally an instrumental. I had no idea. Wish they'd have left it that way. Completely changed how I listen to that song, and I really like it now. I'm glad they didn't leave it an instrumental. That's my personal opinion on that.
If it was an instrumental on that record,
It would have worked. It would have worked.
Totally. I mean, I think there's enough parts in the, especially that whole bridge section's amazing.
But I do love, you pretend that the weight of the world.
Yeah. Misery.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the chorus. Okay. Number 2, That Which Shall Not Be Named was a reactionary attempt to synthesize with the contemporary musical climate. That helped my view on it and at least explains the attempt. Meaning, our conversations about maybe it being... Saint Anger being enmeshed in or nods to what was happening at the time, which was nu metal. Paul Moak actually really blew my mind when he was like, it was basically them trying to do System of a Down.
Yeah.
A band they took on tour in 2000.
Right.
And got to see the power of that band every night.
Yeah.
The mistake is, they're not System of a Down. They're Metallica. So
and they should have reminded themselves that System of a Down was opening for them. They're still the mighty Metallica.
Right. Like, let System of a Down be System of a Down.
Yeah.
Stop tuning the guitars down to C sharp. And
maybe post Saint Anger, maybe they looked back and thought, whatever, it happened, it's out there, we can't change it. But did we need to do that? Like, if they would have done a Death Magnetic in 03,
ooh, God,
I think that would have killed still.
But you know how it goes in life. They couldn't have.
Right.
They couldn't have done Death Magnetic without Saint Anger.
But what if?
But hey,
What if they never stopped being a thrash band?
what if James Hetfield made a country record?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
He's here right now in HQ1 recording upstairs.
Wow.
James?
Paul? Another takeaway that David lists, he says, Clint's unapologetic and undying commitment to Load and Reload is infectious. Both of your comments about these two albums have really reshaped my experience and attitude towards these records, especially how some songs sound like Alice in Chains and others like Guns N' Roses. And as an aside, he says, Clint, I was floored by how spot on the comparisons to 14 Years in Shotgun Blues were. He says, and Until It Sleeps has moved very high on my favorite song ranking, and yes, they're sonically stunning. My spiritual work on this planet is done.
It's done.
When folks like Dave say, hey, you know what? I didn't get the records.
Yeah.
I heard you guys talk about them, and now I hear them differently and appreciate them.
I did, outside of the podcast, have done similar stuff in my spiritual work with Hardwired. People that gave up on the band after Saint Anger and then maybe didn't like the production of Death Magnetic were like, I'm done with Metallica.
You can get them back on board with Hardwired.
I've gotten people on board with Hardwired. I'm like, you have to listen to it. And when I describe it as a best of stylistically kind of record, like it kind of covers the whole spectrum of Metallica's sounds.
I've been learning how to play Hardwired. I've been posting it on Instagram. I learned Hardwired. I learned Moth. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know how much I love Hardwired. Even learning them has given me a new appreciation for those songs compositionally.
And those riffs, too. It's like...
They
some of them
are
tough.
so cool and challenging. Even like the main riff to Ma, that it sounds kind of simple, but when you really get into the tactile, like playing it, and then how Hetfield sings over that stuff,
I know, it's insane.
It's so impressive. I mean, it's such a great reminder of why they are above and beyond almost any band I can think of.
Agreed.
His last comment of his takeaway is he says, "I want to be a Hulkamaniac. I'm speechless. I am without speech." It's been a while since we heard from that record. Let's check in on Hulkamaniac.
Well, let me tell you something real quick, brother. I'm glad I'm here tonight because I'll be honored to play you. I want to be a Hulkamaniac.
Well, thank you. Take it away, Hulkster.
Can I say something else?
Of course. What, do I have an option? Look at those pythons. I don't think I'm in any position to decline.
I actually don't have anything else to say. I just wanted to keep talking. Here's a clip.
These are all the things that the maniacs do. Positive thoughts and positive deeds. These are the things that make succeed. Always be good to your family and friends. They're the only ones that'll be there in the end.
Well, there we go. I mean, it was nice to hear from the Hulkster again.
Always.
David goes on to say, "This email's probably too long already, but I can't say enough about how much I love the show and what you guys do here. I live in Memphis, and y'all probably have plenty of friends here, but let's grab a local brew when you come into town. Hope to see y'all set up the Little Rock show in January, or maybe I can fly the flag for y'all, and maybe see you in Nashville that following Thursday, and hopefully the second annual Metal Up Your Podcast party, which is happening."
Yep.
It is happening the night before. What's the Nashville show? January.
It's January. I can't remember the day off the top of my head.
The night before that will be just a Metallica night party pre-show plus our second annual, the second anniversary of Metal Up Your Podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Many people are flying in.
99% sure it'll be at the Cobra. Once it gets closer, we'll set it all up. But
a lot of people are coming from all over to come to that party and go to the Nashville show.
If
with
the
us.
good people at the Cobra think that the last one was a hit and a success and packed, I think this next one's
it's gonna be pretty wild.
Yeah.
He ends his email by saying, "Please tell Torben and Dave Mustaine hello for me. Shout out to Paul and Paul.
Paul?
He says, your old friend D's. P.S. Church giggles are the best."
Aren't they?
I agree.
Well, I think there's a few people here that want to say hi back to him.
Oh, here we go.
Hello. I just wanted to say hello.
Hello, David. In my misfits way of life, I'm a douchebag. Well, and I tickled to death to hear that you mentioned playing the great thing. And, well, I'm just plumb tickled to have you listening to the podcast. And, well, we'll see you on the flip-flop.
Ah, thanks, Pawpaw. Always good to hear from you. All right, next email is from Rakesh. Guys, was a little behind the past 2 weeks, but really enjoyed the latest episodes. I love when Ethan would pick up his guitar and play some riffs. To me, I think he was talking about my radio episode.
Yeah.
I was playing on my nylon string.
I did like that, too. I mean, I think he's going to echo it here, but you kind of explained some of the similarities in the keys between One and Fade to Black.
Right, yeah.
I also found that interesting and cool. And I'm your friend, and I already know how to play all this.
All in the same position, pretty much. To me, aside from your obvious chemistry and love for Metallica, your musical insights are what set you apart. Those elements, either through full-blown episodes like The Gear, love it as a guitarist myself, or interspersed, are so fun to hear. By the way, I'm listening to Beyond Magnetic now, and it doesn't have any of the brick walling of Death Magnetic. This is some truly great stuff there. Metal Lawyer 2, Queen City Lawyer?
Well, he's also, Rakesh is like also a lawyer.
Really?
So he, remember we pitted him against our friend Nick Roller.
That's right. I almost forgot about that.
In a friendly lawyer off.
Yeah. Man, who doesn't love a good lawyer off?
Next to watching the Hulkster on WCW, I love to see two lawyers just litigate each other to the fucking bitter end.
Oh, man.
No, but in the case of Hulkster versus Mustaine, a precedent was clearly set.
We have a whole episode on Beyond Magnetic that I recommend checking out, obviously.
I love Beyond Magnetic.
Dude,
it's fun.
I was listening to Hello, it's Tom. Well, hello, yet again, another episode. Hello, hello and goodbye and hello again. But they did. He recently did an episode on Hell and Back, which is my favorite song on Beyond Magnetic, and they kind of ripped it a little bit. But I was actually in the shower listening to it, naked.
Oh, we've had a few
I
of
don't
those.
know why that's so visceral to me, but I was naked. And I was thinking...
Didn't Brad Blazek... Yeah, was he...
He listens to us in the shower, and
Yeah.
I imagine him shitting and sobbing.
At the same time.
It's loose stool. But, man, I really do love Beyond Magnetic.
Yeah, of course.
I love that record. It doesn't have the same problems that Death Magnetic has in terms of brick walling, but it has the same dry vocal,
Yeah, it totally
not
does.
great sounding drum
I mean,
situation.
it's still in the same sessions. I'd imagine what they probably did was like before they mix, they're like, all right, here's the songs we're going to put on the record. Mix those, and then later they're like, hey, let's mix these other 4, by the way. And so maybe they learned from their mistake.
I'm pretty sure
you know?
they put out a statement saying these are unmixed, unmastered. Like they were untouched from the floor.
I would think at very least they're unmastered. Maybe not unmixed.
I feel like,
I don't know.
True. I can't remember. You know what? We should go listen to our own episode because I'm sure we
We probably talked
heavily
about it.
researched it. It's hard to keep all the Metallica facts inside the brain, inside the noggin.
The hard drive up there is only so big.
True.
Mine's
And you
like
can
20 megabytes or something.
Dude, that's a lot to me.
In 1992, it's a lot.
Well, folks, it's that easy. We have an email address, metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com. Even if we can't read them on the show, those of you who write in know that we respond to almost every email. We love reading your thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
We love hearing from the Metal Up Your Podcast community.
Always.
Send us the email. Hop on the iTunes. Hop on the Patreon. And with that, let's get the fuck out of the email
I'm
corner.
so ready. Hey, this is Ethan and Clint from Metal Up Your Podcast, and we want to talk to you about something we love called Patreon.
That's right. Patreon is a way for fans of the show to give back to the show, to donate money that helps us in quality and content. And not only that, but we've actually come up with all sorts of fun incentives to give back to you for supporting the show.
Exactly. For instance, if you donate $5 or more, you get access to Cover Our World Blackened, which is the official Metal Up Your Podcast Metallica cover EP.
That's right, and that's the only way to get it. In addition to the EP, we also give you priority email access, meaning we'll read your email first on the show. We give you early access to Patreon-exclusive merchandise, Patreon-exclusive giveaways, and any other side projects that Ethan and I might be involved in.
There's all sorts of things you can look at on there and you can donate to. Go check it out. Patreon.com/metalupyourpodcast. How do you spell that, Clint?
patreon.com/metalupyourpodcast. And if you really think about it, $5 a month for an entire year, that's really just like a cup of coffee a month. So go check it out. Thanks, everyone. Peace.
Adios.
All right, Kirk Hammett's guitars.
Let's do it.
I had a lot of fun going through these.
Let's dive in this deep end of the Hammett pool.
It is a deep pool.
Yeah,
Because-
and much deeper than we're going to cover. Obviously, we mentioned that earlier. That I mean, Kirk is a collector. He's
Yes.
got a shitload of guitars. We're going to be covering, what is it, like 20, 25?
Yeah, it's around that, yeah.
Of his most well-known guitars, the ones you've seen before on TV, at live shows, in videos, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we have a few of his I mean, obviously the Greenie, the Peter Green guitar, we're going to talk about, his Peter Green
Right.
Les Paul. That's one of the most famous guitars in the world. But we'll mostly be talking about what we've come to see and know from Kill 'Em all the way through Hardwired.
Yeah.
Our favorite Kirk guitars. I imagine your average diehard, like me or you, could have named 10 or 15 of these.
Sure.
And we're going to go through these in excruciating detail.
Yeah.
So, thankfully, a lot of listeners wrote in about the last one and said even though they didn't play it, they enjoyed the info. So, let's go all the way.
It's extra info for those Metallica fans that aren't musicians.
Sure.
Because maybe it's something that you don't really understand, or obviously when we start talking about, like, you know, fretboard inlays and pickups and this and that, you might not really know what that is.
Right.
However,
But don't worry, we won't leave you hanging.
Yeah, you're still getting Metallica knowledge here.
You are going to go on a journey with two of the best tour guides I can think of.
And to your left is Kirk Hammett's Flying V.
And to your left, you'll see the Skull and Crossbones inlay.
And straight up ahead, what is that, folks? Oh, that's the Ouija board guitar.
Yeah, and just past that, the Dracula guitar and the White Zombie. Okay.
So that was episode 85.
So let's go all the way back to the beginning. So much like James's, which James had the SG before, but James's most notable guitar was the Electra Flying V.
Right, yeah.
These motherfuckers loved Michael Schenker.
They really did.
They loved Flying V's.
They loved Das Scorpions.
Das Scorpions is toll. Das Scorpions Hausen is Tollhausen Schausen. Kirk's first guitar that he bought in 1979 is a 1974 Gibson Flying V, black. He bought it for $450.
Awesome.
It was his main guitar in Exodus and on the first 4 Metallica albums and all the accompanying tours. So many of the photos that we see of the old hamster Nader Hausen
Hosen.
are him. Schausen.
Hausen.
Steinen. Hey, dude, I was just in Germany. Sorry,
Yeah.
I picked up some of the lingo.
Yeah, I figured. I could tell, yeah.
You figured Hausen?
I figured Hausen, of course, little wissen.
Steinen.
I wish right now I could run across the street and grab my 82-year-old German neighbor. She
Oh.
straight up sounds like she just got here yesterday. She's been here since, like, she was here in the 60s. She's been here since the 60s. And
She would love nothing more than to hear that.
Yeah. Hey,
Fraulein.
Bridget. It's Bridget.
Fraulein Bridget Hausen.
Bridget Hausen, can you come over to my Hausen real quick? And, yeah, it would be
Would
amazing.
you
if-
accompany me to the Jugendlichen Club?
we want to see if what we're saying is actually German.
By the way,
Bridget, will you translate this for us? Welcome to Metallica Podcasten.
by the way, we literally have thousands and thousands of German listeners.
Right now, we're just rolling their eyes and sins.
So I'm sorry. If we offended Hausens you.
No, listen. I've done this for years. The first time I ever went to Germany was probably in the year 2000. And for years I've had this joke: to make something sound more German, you add Hausen, or you add Stein,
Steinen. Straussen.
or you add Ensign. So like Clintonson. Do you like my Gitarsenson?
It's still funny.
Gitarsenhausen.
When we were just over there, we had a bus over there, and our driver's name was Rico. Real cool cat. But I would just go sit down there with him, and I would do this whole Hausen bullshit.
Was he German?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Local. Just he drives buses in Germany. Oh, you know who he drives regularly on the Regenhausen?
Please tell on the Regenhausen. Please tell me Hasselhoffenson.
Baroness.
Baroness, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
Baroness is like his most common whatever client. We were on Baroness's bus, dude.
Awesome.
Which Baroness has a really bitchin' chick guitar player now.
Yeah, that's rad.
Guitar player Hausen. Anyway, back to Kirk's first Flying V. So $450. It was a main guitar in Exodus, first 4 Metallica records and the tours. He used it on the Fade to Black solo on the neck pickup.
Yeah.
The reason I found that interesting is, for those of you who don't know, when you see usually you see 2 pickups in hard rock music guitars. They're 2 humbuckers, which we talked about humbuckers last time.
Yeah.
And the neck pickup tends to be a darker, muddier rhythm sound.
Yeah.
Some people even call it the rhythm pickup. Whereas
Well, it's common on Gibsons on the toggle switch, which is how you switch back and forth between each pickup. It'll say rhythm and lead. Yeah.
And that's super old school. I mean, that's like jazz. That's like, Les Pauls were like jazz guitars.
Oh yeah, and
arch tops.
Gibson still does that.
And they call it the neck pickup because it's the pickup closest to the neck, or the rhythm pickup. They're muddier. They're used for rhythm. The bridge pickup, which is closest to the bridge, is brighter.
It's
Bridgenhausen. So it's interesting that Kirk recorded the Fade to Black solo in the neck position.
Yeah.
Which is typically not a lead position.
Another common, I would say, a pretty well-known example of somebody whose most of their leads are in the neck position is Slash. That's if you notice that a lot. Like,
I didn't know that.
A lot of his stuff is like that. That's kind of that Slash sound. Is the neck position on a Gibson Les Paul.
Fascinating,
isn't it? Not everything is though. Like when he goes to like the Wah stuff, like on the
Civil
key
War
change of
yeah.
Sweet Child of Mine,
Sweet
or whatever.
Child,
yeah, then it is. But a lot of that stuff is neck position.
Okay, so he doesn't take this on the road anymore. He's claimed that it was just so weathered and beat up from the obviously years of touring clubs, and then obviously through puppets and justice into arenas, and it's now such a valuable, cool guitar. He keeps it off the road. Gibson in 2012 though did reissue a prototype, an exact prototype, including all the
wear and
stuff
tear
that was fucked up about it. They only made 150. 50 of them signed by Kirk himself. And
awesome.
You can see Kirk, obviously, they gave him the proto, the number 1 of the proto, serial number 001, and you can actually see him playing that guitar in the Freeze 'Em All gig, which we covered a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or whatever, 2 months ago.
That's
How long
awesome.
ago was that show?
That was like a year ago.
Okay, good. Now, moving on, these 2 are fascinating to me. Actually, the next 3 are fascinating. So in 83, he got the Fernandez V, the RFV 75, which is it's another Flying V.
Yeah.
But it's made by a cheaper company called Fernandez.
Fernandez made some cool stuff, though.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think they are an underappreciated guitar company.
They did a lot of what a lot of times people call lawsuit kind of stuff, which meaning that you're basically
It's basically a ripoff of the body of a
yeah,
more
they made
popular.
tellies, they made strats,
Right.
stuff like that. I've got a bass up in my little storage closet upstairs that's a company called Gaitone, which is a Japanese company.
I know Gaitone. They made pedals.
Yep. In the 70s, they were basically ripping off other companies. I have one that looks just like a Moss Ride. And so a lot of people will call those like lawsuit era guitars. What was the most notable one? I can't remember. There was some huge lawsuit in the 70s.
I think it was a Les Paul.
Was it Les Paul for Gibson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody was basically like making the Gibson Les Paul.
So basically, the two most popular guitars that one will think of in their mind's eye when they think of a guitar, right, are a Les Paul and a Stratocaster.
Yeah.
Stratocaster has two horns, most famously played by Eric Clapton or David Gilmour,
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
or Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Les Paul has the one horn made by Gibson, most commonly thought of Slash.
Slash would be my first person I think of.
For sure, right?
Jimmy Page.
Jimmy Page, those two.
Yeah.
Right. And those companies have patents on those designs.
Yeah. Chad Kroger.
Look at this.
Look at this Les Paulson.
I love that song Photograph so much, dude.
Def Leppard?
No.
That's a good song. That's a good song called Photograph too.
Nickelback and Hellsen.
I know you cried to it
I've privately cried to it more than one time.
and publicly admitted it.
You know what's weird? I haven't cried to it, even though I've listened to it, since I admitted that on the show. Like, it broke some spell for me.
I think it just dried up your tear ducts.
And I regret saying it because I regret the emotional
you
release.
you hope to cry when you listen to it and you can't anymore. No more tears. The words of Ozzy Osbourne.
I miss the emotional release I used to get from that song. All right. So anyway, he had a 1983 Fernandez V, RFV 75, black and white pickguard. Now, what you'll notice about this guitar, there isn't a neck and bridge pickup. There's just the bridge pickup.
The more harsh, shrill one.
And so it was really only like one sound. You have a tone knob, which a tone knob kind of controls bass response in a pickup.
This was probably perfect for him in 1983. It's like, because that's the Kill 'Em All tone. It's just like
absolutely
harsh, shrill, just blistering sound.
You can actually see it in the Cliff 'Em All video during No Remorse, which is obviously the title track off Saint Anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, perfect for Kill 'Em All for sure. And a less valuable guitar, so maybe like a beater. In fact, I think, I'm not positive, so Jesus Christ, don't crucify me for this. I think in that great video of them playing the Metro in Chicago, where Kirk mistakenly puts his guitar in the crowd and they
start taking it.
That was his Gibson, and the backup he's playing is this Fernandez.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? We've talked about this. If they actually got away with it and like took that fucker.
It's amazing that it wasn't fucking smashed smithereens in that
That's
crowd.
probably in his house in Hawaii, like in a glass case on the wall now, or it should be. Or it's probably just at HQ hang on the wall.
I unfortunately haven't been to the Memory Remains Museum. It might be in that museum.
Ooh, that'd be rad.
All right, so moving on. Also in 1983, a couple more Fernandez guitars here, which I find interesting. We don't see this brand of guitar repeated anymore in this, but also in 1983 we have the black Fernandez Stratocaster, which I would say, I'm saying this in air quotes, another lawsuit guitar.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like a Fender Stratocaster. Yeah. Those of you old school trues might recognize it. It was nicknamed Edna. It had... I liked this note because it made me think of my young days. It had 3 Fender lace sensor pickups.
Oh, yeah.
Which I had a black Strat, white pickguard outfitted with lace sensors because that's what David Gilmour used.
Yep.
And that's what Eric Clapton used.
And
they're kind of out of fashion now.
Yeah, they
no one
definitely
has
are,
lace sensors anymore.
No. I had a set of Fender lace sensors that my dad took out of his like nice USA Fender Stratocaster, and we took it to my dad's guitar guy in Orange County and put him in my Squire 2 Strat.
Cool.
And there were white pickups at a black Strat.
But see, there were different color ones that were hotter. Like I had a blue lace sensor in the neck, a red lace sensor in the bridge. I can't remember what was in the middle.
I don't think I remember them making different colors. I just had white ones.
But Eric Clapton's Blackie, which was his black Strat, had 3 gold lace sensors.
Okay.
So they really in the late 90s and early aughts they really.
But they were still passive pickups.
They're still passive. They're just hotter though.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I still had that little Squire Strat.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to still have. I literally have no memory of what happened to it.
I was just thinking of that. I think we talked about this with our friend Brad Lyons when we did the James episode, but Some of my first guitars, not the notable ones, like not the ones my grandfather gave me.
Sure, yeah.
But some of my first, like, my first Strat, white cream Strat, white pickguard, mail ordered from AMS magazine.
Nice.
Mail order.
Yeah.
Sent a money order.
Sent a money order to get a guitar.
$338 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I remember the guitar. I remember all my memories. I remember learning Cherub Rock on it by the Pumpkins. I have no clue what happened. Did I sell it? Did I give it to a friend?
Yeah, no idea.
Like, it's just lost to time.
My very first guitar, I think I mentioned before, was a company called Memphis, really shitty brand.
But you broke it.
Broke the headstock, cried.
But what was your like? Everyone remembers the first time they masturbated because it was probably injected with so much puritanical guilt and horror.
Idaho.
You could hardly remember the second time.
No,
even though it was a habit that you developed for the rest of your life, no one can remember the second time. What was your second guitar and what happened to it?
Second guitar was a plastic back Ovation. Acoustic.
No, your second electric guitar.
Second electric guitar was the Squire 2 Strat.
And no memory.
No memory of that one. I remember what happened to the first one. I sold it to my neighborhood metal friend named Mike Klippert.
Klippert?
Klippert.
How you spell that?
Klippert, I think.
Okay, that's correct. That sounds correct. You know what my initial thought was? Clippart.
Right, clip art.
Like clip.
Yeah. Mike Klippert was one of the first people that I met when I moved to Orange County. My neighbor that went to my school, it was like a meddled kid. And like I go to his house like on Saturday night and spend the night, and we'd stay up late and like eat popcorn and watch Headbangers Ball.
Oh my god, dude! I have some of my
like when Ricky Rackman still had long hair.
Agree. Like some of my most fond memories are so similar. Even pre-guitar, staying up late watching fucking Alternative Nation and Headbangers Ball.
Oh, Alternative Nation is great. Loved it.
Waiting for the Plush video. I used to wait for Plush by Stone Temple Pilots to come on in real time. I would just wait for it.
Yeah.
It was so ubiquitous in the summer of 92 or whatever, 93. Yeah. And you could really just sort of wait around for it. Or like Runaway Train by Soul Asylum.
Oh, yeah. Great
You just
song.
wait for it.
Yep. Same thing with the radio. I used to listen to Pirate Radio 100.3 FM in Southern California.
You'd wait for Pearl Jam or
I'd
Nirvana.
wait for whatever song.
Or Enter Sandman or whatever.
I would wait with my two fingers on the record and play button on my cassette deck.
Same.
And the second they're like, oh, we got the new one from Skid or whoever, Metallica, hit that shit so fast. That's how you originally made a mixtape.
I can take it up a whole notch from that.
Do it.
My boombox, and it was a boombox. It said boombox on it. Not quite a ghetto blaster.
So you know it's the real thing.
But it said boombox, so you know it's the real. It had some like weird input where you could put. I had like a microphone that had a 1/4-inch input.
Yeah.
So I'd wait there, hands on the play and record button, blank Maxwell cassette tape, and a song would come on, and I would sing with it
and record it
and record myself singing before I knew how to sing atonally. And I remember my biggest memory of that is Cumbersome by 7 Mary 3. I have become cumbersome to my girl.
What a terrible song.
Sort of post Pearl Jam.
There was a lot of that.
Watered down Alice in Chains, Days of the New.
Days of the New, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Oof.
Those were just for me. If I was making a mixtape, the microphone's out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you would, in your mixtape, you would hear the DJ either at the end or the beginning.
And then, or some other song you didn't like would come on, like crossfade into it. And you're like, no, I don't want that song.
I know, and that was Bulls on Parade. But stop it.
Yeah. Well, Bulls on Parade's fucking awesome.
No. I mean, dude, when Evil Empire came out, my 7th grade yearbook picture is me wearing an Evil Empire T-shirt, and I look like the boy on the cover. I'm just saying, when the DJ comes on over the gagoo, gagoo. Well, that was bull. You're like, shut the fuck.
What about the worst was when they be introing a song, it starts playing, and they talk until the first verse starts.
I know.
Well, anyway, this Sunday we're giving tickets out to the Jim Blossoms concert.
You're like, shut up!
God damn it!
I want to hear the riff.
You fucking demon!
Ugh.
Anyway, this guitar also is notable because in magazines and shit, Kirk had written Hamster Caster with a Sharpie on the headstock. And there's the famous picture of Kirk at the Metallica mansion sitting on the toilet.
Yeah.
That's this Fernandez Edna lawsuit Stratocaster.
Yep.
Have I properly contextualized it for all the truths out there?
I think we've figured it out. I think everyone knows. Mathematically speaking, I think we've all come to the same conclusion.
Now, the only reason I put this other guitar in the list is because I remember when we did Live Shit Seattle, which wasn't that long ago also, maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago.
I think 3 years
maybe
ago.
17 years ago. we talked about this red Stratocaster, quote unquote, and I particularly remember being mystified by it. It's another Fernandez Strat 84 black pickguard that he played on the thing that should not be on Live Shit Seattle. And there's also, have you seen this picture of James and Kirk? They're at Kirk's house in bed together, laying on a mattress on the floor with all their guitars on them, and they're both smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, it's weird.
You can see this guitar in that picture. It's just weird because neither Kirk nor James smoke.
I mean, I think back in the day they probably did.
You'll never.
You rarely see a photo.
I have never seen another photo of either of them smoking.
You rarely ever see it.
I've seen James and Kirk smoke cigars.
Right.
In the Load era.
Right, of course.
But I've never seen them smoke cigarettes, and it's a weird picture because they're both at Kirk's mom's house, like during the Lightning tour or something.
Yeah.
In '84, smoking in the house in Kirk's bed
on a mattress
with all their guitars on the mattress. Yeah. So anyway, that's why I wanted to bring that up. Now we move on to '85, a guitar that is familiar to me. Mm-hmm. The '85 Randy Rose Jackson RR1T, which is the black Jackson that he plays almost exclusively on Sabbath True.
Yeah.
And then he would go on to play Memory Remains with it.
Love that guitar.
According to the notes I looked up today, he recorded much of Puppets on that. So that means that Master of Puppets was largely recorded on Jackson guitars.
Because Hetfield did too.
That King V, the Kill Bon Jovi guitar.
Yeah, that's insane.
I've always had a personal aversion to Jackson. I don't like the name. It sounds rednecky to me. And I come from...
You want to play a Jackson guitar?
Well, we come home oh, here we go, Paw. Well, I never got too involved with the guitar, see, but I had that problem with my dexterity. But I did have one guitar. I had two guitars, Ethan. I had the Hartley PV, made in America down in Mississippi, where I lived.
That's right, yeah.
But also I had the Jackson King V. Had very pointy headstock, and it had two horns, but one horn a little shorter than the other one.
That's a great description. Love that.
I like Randy. When I see Randy Rhoads playing a Jackson, no problemo. But he gets a pass.
Dare I say Dave Mustaine? I know we kind of dog on him, but him and Marty Freeman kind of made...
Marty Freeman, I'll grant you.
What was the one, like the Marty Freeman, like Kelly series? It was kind of like an Explorer shape, but more curvy. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, and Kerry King, I think, had a Jackson deal too for a while.
Yeah.
Those are okay.
Dave Ellefson has not really played hardly anything but Jackson basses forever.
Dave Ellefson?
Dave Ellefson.
Peavy.
No, Jackson basses.
Peavy.
Jackson.
Look it up.
His main...
He has a Peavy deal. He plays that mirror pick guard.
Right, but no, but
that's a Peavy.
The longest running bass he's ever played is like that silver sparkle one. It's a Gibson 5-string. Dude, do you follow him on Instagram?
Dave? No.
Dave Ellefson? The last month, he's been posting photos of like old basses he used to have.
He has a signature PV that's like a mirror.
I know he does.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Because he worked for PV. He was my rep when I had a PV deal.
That's when I met him. He was doing a PV clinic.
But he mostly over the years has played Jacksons.
I take it back. Apologize. You would know. You're the Megadeth fan. I like Dave Mustaine's Dean guitars.
Yeah, those are cool.
Again, Dean, another guitar company I would never even dream of, but yet my beloved, my favorite guitar player of all fucking time, Dimebag Darrell, played Dean.
Yeah.
And I like Dave Mustaine's Dean guitars.
Would you get one of those Dean like Dimebag looking ones?
I've begged my wife to let me get the camo one.
The camo one's bitching.
I mean, my wife is super cool, dude. You've met my wife. My wife's cool, dude.
She's a super cool dude.
But it was one of the shortest conversations we've ever had. When I was like, can I buy a Dimebag Darrell $700 camo Dean pointy Explorer ripoff? She was just like,
why?
Well, she was like, look, buy a guitar, but buy one you're going to use for your job.
You would so use that with Rodney Atkins.
I will buy and I will play a snakebite with Rodney Atkins. I've already told RMD, our musical director, Kevin, a good friend of mine, our drummer, I've already told him I'm buying a snakebite when I find the right deal. And I'm playing it on at least 2 of our songs in our set.
Yeah, you have to.
Well, I have to. I'm wearing Metallica shoes right now.
I played a Gibson Explorer in my ska band. You can play...
I could see it being good for that, though.
It was great. I loved it.
2 humbuckers. It's cool.
Still one of my biggest regret sales. Hate that I sold that thing.
All right, moving on here. Well, actually, I don't want to move on. What do you think about Jackson guitars? I've kind of staked my claim here. What do you think?
I've never
owned one?
I've never owned a Jackson guitar. When I was in junior high and really getting into metal, I had a couple friends in Orange County that were kind of like little rich kids, not like assholes or anything, but they just were, came from money.
Yeah.
And I had this one friend named Jeremy, and he had like a Carvin full stack. And
I remember Carvin.
I didn't care what
Steve
brand
I played
it
a
was.
Carvin Legacy.
Yeah. I didn't give a shit what the brand was. It was a full stack. And I was like, that's gigantic.
To a kid, it's like seeing Kiss. It's larger than life.
When you're first getting into metal and you're actually playing an instrument, the bigger the setup, it's got to be better, right?
The more rack toms, the bigger pedal board, whatever it is.
He had a Randy Rhoads King V.
Cool.
He had the Kelly series one I'm talking about that Marty Freeman played.
I love Marty Freeman.
I know, but at that time I was like, I want to. I keep trying to say Gibson. I want a Jackson so bad.
You did.
I did want one, but they were so expensive. They were so expensive.
They are nicer guitars. Let's say that.
I think almost all of them are neck through body.
Well, and they don't really make a cheap version. Like ESP has LTD.
No, they did Charvel.
Oh, but it said Charvel.
Yeah, but that was like their Epiphone or their Squire.
Okay.
They did Charvel guitars.
I thought Fender owned Charvel.
They may have at one point, but I know Jackson
Does Fender
owned
own
them.
Jackson now?
I don't know.
It's all gotten so fucked up.
Yeah, well, I know that Gibson's
is going bankrupt.
tanking,
I know.
You know what? Good.
They've really fucked up.
They've made shitty guitars for a long time.
They've really fucked up.
Overpriced.
For those of you who may have heard, Gibson, which is one of the two biggest guitar companies of all time, along with Fender, are doing really poorly.
They already filed bankruptcy.
Now, here's the deal.
But just released a Billy Joe signature Les Paul Jr.
Oh, cool.
Which it looks rad, but
Awesome.
like
no one's gonna buy it.
Oh, the Planet Kids will buy that. I think it's like a cheaper.
Green Day fans are not kids anymore.
But they
guitar music's kind of out.
Yeah, but they got a lot of fans.
Yeah, I mean, dude.
If it's affordable, I'm pretty sure it's like under $1,000.
Okay,
like,
well that's interesting.
I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's like a $2,000 guitar.
I worked in 2 guitar stores for about 5 or 6 years combined, and the weird thing about Gibson is the prices keep getting higher and higher. You can't buy a standard Gibson for less than $2,200 now.
Right.
And like I feel like when you pick up a $2,500 or a $3,000 guitar, they better all be fucking awesome.
You better know that's
but you'll pick them up and they'll be dogs.
Oh yeah.
Like invariably you'll pick up a dog and it'll still be $3,000.
Yeah.
You know, it's unacceptable.
Dude,
their artist relations are so shitty.
Yep. Unless your name is Slash, they probably don't give a shit about you. Or Billy Joe.
Right.
But you have to be a famous musician to have like an actual deal with Gibson.
It is so hard for a normal working guitar player to buy and maintain Gibsons. I'm lucky to have a few. Do you have any Gibsons?
I only have one Gibson now.
What's this Les Paul? Is that it?
Yeah,
that Les Paul Jr.?
Firebrand. At one point I had 3 Les Pauls. I got rid of 2 of them, and I had an Explorer at one point.
Now, speaking of Les Pauls, we've taken a little bit of a detour here.
Still talking about guitars, whatever.
Randy Rhoads, though, which he did have that Jackson King V.
Yeah.
All right.
He was a Gibson dude, too.
But when I think of him in my mind's eye, I see the polka dot Les Paul, and I see him playing fucking Crazy Train.
Polka dot Flying V, too.
And a polka dot Gibson V.
That V, the cover of the Ozzy live record, where he's got Randy like up on his shoulder, and he's playing a solo. He's playing the polka dot V.
Damn it.
Yeah, totally.
His polka dot thing was he kind of landed on a cool little
That's kind of his deal, yeah.
Which, ordinarily in polka dots, fuck you.
Unless your name's Randy Rhoads or Buddy Guy.
Okay. Moving on. Now, this is where we start to see Kirk's personality.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm talking about here is the 86 ESP. Now, this is his first ESP, and this would go on to set a precedent for probably every guitar other than some collectible Gibsons that we're going to talk about for the next 45 minutes,
right,
which is the MM270 Zorlak. Now, it's called the Zorlak. I'm jumping ahead a little bit because he ended up putting a Pusshead. Zorlak was a skateboard company that Pusshead designed the logo for.
Right.
And Kirk ended up putting that sticker below the bridge. That's why it was called the Zorlak. But this was his first ESP. He sought them out because he wanted a cool new guitar for the Monsters of Rock tour in 86, because he knew they'd be playing in front of, 17 million kajillion ladies.
And Bon Jovi.
And this was kind of the starting line for what became the KH2. Now, the KH2, why it's not called the KH1, is a mild mystery. It gets solved a little bit later.
Yeah.
But in the timeline, the KH2. Now, when we talk about the White Zombie, the Mummy, Dracula, the Hula Ghouls, these are the Ouija.
Yeah.
All right? These are all KH2s.
Yeah.
pickups, neck, bolt, neck through,
Yeah.
Floyd Rose, with different graphics. So this is the first kind of cage too.
Yeah.
What's cool about this though is that the skull and crossbones, which are his signature inlay, meaning the fretboard, the skull and crossbones were vertical instead of horizontal, and instead of the upside down ESP headstock, he had an upside down Jackson style headstock.
Oh yeah.
But Jackson basically said, "We're going to sue you, motherfuckers."
Jeez.
So they couldn't do that. But he still has this
You know who
Zorlak guitar.
probably pointed out. It's probably Mustaine going, you see Kirk's new guitar?
I honestly hadn't thought of it because I try not to think about him. He probably did.
He was behind it.
He probably
Hey, Mr.
did.
Jackson? I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson. I'm being for real. Anybody? Okay.
Yeah, dude. Outcast?
I was just listening to Outkast yesterday.
Hey, Mr. Jackson, it's me, Marvin Berry, your cousin.
I'm going to be for real.
You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this
Look
Ride
at-
the Lightning solo.
Look at Kirk's new guitar. You should sue him.
So he still has it, though. They changed the headstock to a typical MM290 style, but flipped it upside down. Nicknamed the Zorlak for obvious reasons. And this is where he first does the EMG 8160 pickups, which is what... They both kind of got on board with these EMG active pickups, which we talked about active versus passive.
Right.
At the same time, and, you know, that's kind of the sound of Metallica.
Yeah.
Kind of 86, 87-ish on.
Puppets onward.
You know?
Yeah, agreed.
They would also go on to do, in 2010, they did a Snow White cage, too. And what I found interesting is, from frets 17 to 24, they're scalloped. Now, do you want to talk about what that means?
Yngwie.
Yngwie would be the most famous guitar player known for
he's been doing that. He
fretboards.
scallops his entire fretboard.
Yep.
It's almost like if the wood in between each fret is concave, much like a skateboard. You know, that kind of has that dip in it.
There's a dip in between every fret.
Yeah. Now, what that does for a guitar player, it kind of gives you ease of playing really fast.
Does Yngwie play fast?
Yngwie, I heard, plays fast. I'm not really sure. Anyways.
I thought he did doom metal.
No, he doesn't do doom metal. He does like come to this guitar clinic at Guitar Center and check this out.
I'm just kidding, by the way.
He does doom metal, actually. No, but so the purpose of a scallop fretboard is so that people can basically play a lot faster, but a lot lighter. Because if you're a hard hitting player and you're trying to play really fast, then that can wear you out pretty quick. So a scallop fretboard, you can play more delicately, but it still sounds like you're playing harder and with a little more ease.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Yngwie kind of invented that.
I think it was his idea, but he definitely popularized it, or he brought it to.
I thought it was his idea
you know?
to like scoop him down so he can move super fast.
I know a lot of guitar
agility.
players that like kind of think that's lame. They're like, "Come on, dude, just fucking play."
You ever played one? It feels pretty weird.
It feels weird, and here's what sucks about it: you have to play delicately.
Yeah,
if you don't,
you can't lay in.
No, because if you do, you're going to basically push. Because since there's not as much wood in between those frets, you're going to push that string downward towards the wood. Now there's more space there, thus making the string go sharp and out of tune.
It'll go sharp for sure. What I like about what Kirk did, and you know, Kirk, we're going to inevitably talk about Kirk's reputation as a guitar player, the shorthand criticism of him, what's
Right.
fair about it and what's not fair. We're going to get into this
of course,
shit.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting about what Kirk did is it's just the 17th through 24th frets that are scalloped. So he can do that meaty, chunky metal shit from 12th fret and up towards the headstock.
Yeah.
And then for the speed, he's not doing any chunky.
No, not that
the
high up
bottom
on it.
17th fret on is all about speed.
And 17th fret is way up there already. That high he's only doing like super fast shit. So it does make sense.
And most normal guitars, your average Strat or Tele, they have 21, 22 frets. 24 was kind of
very metal.
Came with the evolution of heavy music and metal music.
Right.
We move on to an odd submission in Kirk's guitars, but I did include it because I know people have talked about these guitars. They're the 1988 Tom Anderson Pro-Am guitars. And he had three types, gold and white, that had this black bowling finish. They were kind of smoky looking.
Yeah.
And then he had a red one with gold hardware. It was made out of basswood, satin finishes, matching headstock, had a Floyd Rose tremolo.
For those of you who know that basswood is where they take a bass guitar and just like shave it down and use the excess wood.
Actually, it's basswood where they actually take fish from Percy Priest Lake
Yeah,
in
from the
Nashville,
lake in Tennessee.
and they fashion guitars out of it.
Yeah, they don't smell great, but they do sound pretty good.
They're these
Little
guitars.
gilly.
They're these guitars that look smoky.
Yeah,
And you can see them in around the Justice era. You can see him kind of pictures of him in guitar magazines, like backstage with them.
right.
I'm not sure or certain if he played him on stage.
It could have been just like a tuning room thing, or just warming up, or his hotel room guitar or something.
But Tom Anderson's are known as boutique, handmade guitars.
Yeah,
Tom Anderson is a really nice guitar. If an American Stratocaster in the late '80s was $1,200, a Tom Anderson would be about $3,000,
Yeah.
$4,000.
Right.
Handmade, master luthier made.
yeah.
I've never personally really cared. Everyone I've played, I've been like, yeah, that's
I've never
cool.
played one, so
They feel great.
I'm sure they do.
But who gives a shit? I'd rather play a Fender.
Yeah,
I've just got the Gilmore in me. I've got the Hendrix
I'd rather
in me.
play anything that just to me plays good. I don't care. As a guitar player, maybe I mentioned this in the last episode or not, but as a guitar player, for me, the first thing I look for is, does it look cool? Before I even touched it. If I see a guitar on the wall, I'm like, to my taste, that's gross. I don't want to play that thing. It looks ugly.
totally agree.
Blah, blah, blah. But then when I see a guitar that looks cool, I'm like, I want to check that out. And if I pick it up, I'm like, ugh, this plays like garbage. I put it back. I mean, half the guitars you see in here, like, I didn't pay a lot for. Now, some of that was through a deal, but some of them, like, I just, okay, so this Les Paul Firebrand back here, it's an 80 or 81. The look of it.
Which it looks like a Les Paul Jr. to me.
Yeah, it
It
kind of
looks
is.
like a solid mahogany.
Yep.
Les Paul Jr.
Yeah.
So what's the story with it?
So they made these as cheaper guitars for 3 years, I believe.
Like a Melody Maker or something? Were they that cheap? Like $400?
Maybe not. I don't know the exact price back in the day. And I know they were cheaper guitars, more affordable guitars. They made the Les Paul Firebrand and one called the Paul. And the Paul looked basically just like that one, but just slightly. I think there was no pickguard on it or something like that. But I bought that thing in a music store in Huntington Beach, California, in '98 for $500. And to me, I was like, I'm buying a 1980 Gibson for $500. Little did I know at the time that they were still kind of considered cheap guitars. It's still one of my favorites. I don't play it out because it looks like a mandolin on me because it's not a big guitar.
And you're a tall dude.
Yeah, I'm a hollow body guy. But it's the first Gibson I ever bought. But it's one of those things, when I looked at it, I immediately thought of...
Yeah, like 7 out of the 13 guitars in here are hollow bodies.
Yeah. So this Gibson Firebrand, I was like, you know what? It looks like the Gibson that Jerry Cantrell plays in the Wood video.
Ooh.
That was my first attraction to it. Because he plays a Gibson. It looks just like maybe a studio or something.
Is the Wood video from the single soundtrack?
Yeah, from the single soundtrack.
Where they're playing in the club?
I think it's like a stage, but
he's
like
not
an empty.
playing that Strat-looking G&L
No.
with the naked chick on it?
No, he's playing a Gibson, and it's like a wood finish.
Oh, cool.
And I remember loving that look, and so I saw this one. I'm like, that's pretty close. I'm going to get it. And then I remember trying it out, and it had the original stock pickups in it, and my friend put some better pickups in it years later. But
see, and that's the benefit of it. And as we get into when Kirk starts to make signature models, it really, when we were these young kids who loved Metallica or Alice in Chains or whatever the fuck, you would really buy guitars based on that.
oh yeah, why do you think I owned an Explorer at one point?
Maybe not their signature guitars. I've never been that into those, but I'd buy guitars that looked like my favorite guitar player's guitars.
Right. The only signature guitar I still own and have ever owned and only ever wanted was this Telecaster right here that's all beat up looking. It's relic, as they say.
Is that the Joe Strummer?
It's the Joe Strummer from The Clash. It's his signature one.
And that's your favorite band?
That's my favorite band next to Metallica, yeah. The Clash.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's the only signature. There is a Brian Setzer Gretsch.
I know
he has
it. Is it a Tennessean?
No, he's got a couple models, but there's one that's like, it's real simple. He released some that had like, instead of volume knobs, they were like dice.
Yeah, I've seen
that
those.
rockabilly thing.
Yeah.
But he has released some since then. There was like a series of maybe 8 colors or whatever, and they were just so bitchin' looking. It didn't have a big Brian Setzer signature on it or anything like that. Maybe on the back of the headstock or something. But I could maybe get down with one of those one day.
That's what I like about the snake bites. Is what's really signature about it is the shape.
Yeah.
The you mentioned it before. It was kind of dead on. The sort of can opener horns.
Yeah, right.
And then the S and the 12th fret.
Well, the can opener horns are on the V he plays. Those look more like can openers.
They're on the snake bites too.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, totally. Oops.
They are on the Vulture, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Vulture has a big fucking Vulture in the 12th fret.
Yeah.
But they don't, like, say James Hetfield.
Right. I'd still play that guitar.
Why are we talking about James?
Sorry, Kirk.
Sorry, Kirk.
It's your episode.
I will say, from the Zorlak on, we've got these Tom Andersons out of the way. Aside from some notable collectibles, we're about to get into some very, very iconic Kirk Hammett guitars.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to mention this 1989 Gibson Custom Black Beauty. Now, the deal with this apparently is it was a normal 89 stock Les Paul Custom, but Kirk traded all the hardware, made it all black, put EMGs in it, and this is the guitar you mostly see when he plays Nothing Else Matters, Sanitarium, Fade to Black. He loves to play Les Pauls for the kind of ballad, except for the song One.
Right.
And even Day Never Comes, he likes to play a V for that, like a Karina V.
Right.
But for Sanitarium, Fade to Black, and Nothing Else Matters, and I think he did a lot in the Load, Reload, like Bleeding Me, King Nothing, he would play this Les Paul.
Yeah. Well, it also makes sense on Fade to Black and Sanitarium because you got that classic neck pickup Gibson sound for those leads.
Right.
He does that on Sanitarium too.
Yeah.
Same neck position.
Right. So that's a pretty cool guitar, and I just got to say, I'm such a Gibson cat. I love them, even though they've shit the bed, they've fallen hard times, and I hope they learn from it, or, you know, whatever needs to happen for them to move forward.
Right.
Needs to happen. You reap what you fucking sow.
Yeah.
But I will say they're probably my most beloved guitar. I've got an 81 335 that you've seen. That
Yeah, I love that guitar.
So dear to me. I'm a huge Les Paul fan. So I love seeing when Kirk and James play Les Pauls. I just love it.
Of course, yeah.
Now, next we have probably top 3 most notable Kirk guitar.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ESP MM290 Hot Caution guitar.
Back up, guys. About to rip you a fiery lead right here.
Which is made most notable. He has that orange Caution Hot sticker.
Yeah.
It's basically a KH2 skull and crossbones, black ESP, but it's got that Caution Hot. It's an alder body, maple neck. Should we camp out for a second and talk about? Let's talk about the wood. So, the Strat shaped guitars.
You begin this because I'm going to make a refill while you start talking about
Okay,
wood.
well,
and I love when you talk about wood. So,
well, okay. On a Strat shaped guitar, most of those guitars are made out of alder or ash. They're lighter woods. There's a huge debate about tone wood. Now, Gibsons and ESPs and heavier guitars are typically made out of mahogany, and those are heavier woods. Acoustics are a whole different deal. We'll talk about acoustics at some other point. But
a good side note, a good episode just to go through James's acoustics.
We kind of mentioned his acoustics.
We did a little bit.
We talked about his Martin that he did for Mama Said. We talked about his Line 6 Variax that he uses for the MIDI changes.
Yeah, I guess we did kind of dive into that.
We talked about this gut string shit he did for Unforgiven during the Black Album tour.
Let's go ahead and forget that idea.
Okay. So alder and ash are the 2 main woods used for the Strat-like bodies. Mahogany is probably the most common wood for Les Pauls and heavier guitars, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Am I speaking out of turn here?
You are not.
I don't claim to be an expert.
That Gibson we were talking about of mine is all mahogany. There's a good weight to it.
And you can even see it. It's not even painted. I mean, that's like mahogany wood.
Yeah. Mahogany is one of my favorite woods. It's a nice dark brown wood. Beautiful wood.
Now, there are 3 common necks. The neck of the guitar you'll probably all be able to deduce even if you don't play is the long part that your left hand, if you're left-handed, goes up and down when you're playing riffs and shit. The 3 most common woods for that, well, 2 common woods, maple and rosewood. Maple is light. It looks blonde almost.
Yeah.
Rosewood is dark. It's a dark wood color.
Yeah.
And then you can have a maple or rosewood neck with an ebony fretboard, which is
totally.
a black, which James is a big fan of it. The Snakebite, for example, that's an ebony fretboard.
Yeah, that Gibson is ebony fretboard.
It's basically black instead of
and
like
nowadays they can't do rosewood anymore.
Well, it's
banned.
You can do Indian rosewood.
Yeah.
You can't do Brazilian rosewood.
Right, which most guitars that have ever been made that have a rosewood fretboard is Brazilian rosewood, and it's illegal now.
Yeah, I think. Well, I know the Martin I had, it was a 67, and it was the last year Martin was able to use Brazilian rosewood.
Yeah.
So it was incredibly valuable because of the wood.
Right.
The Indian rosewood is cheaper and easier to acquire.
There's a new, I can't remember what they're making out of now. Me and Nathan Thomas, actually, who mixed Cover Old Blackened, he was over here the other day. We were on Fender's website looking at some stuff,
I just did a gig with Scotty McCreery, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Well, he wasn't there. It was an in the round gig.
Oh, so
where it was just everyone just had their acoustic guys.
Yeah.
So it was me and our other guitar player, Derek, and it was his 2 acoustic guys.
Scotty McCreery was like, howdy, I'm Scotty McCreery.
He was sweet.
I've heard he's an awesome dude.
He was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we were headlining it, but...
No big deal.
Anyway, so the hot caution guitar, alder body, maple neck, skull and crossbone, horizontal inlay. It's also it was like a little thing that says Kirk's guitar. It's like a label maker.
Yeah. Above
the neck pickup. Floyd Rose locking tremolo. Let's talk about what that means.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what a tremolo is, and a Floyd Rose is such a huge part of heavy music.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to lead off on that?
I would like to start, and this might be a little too nerdy, but it might be an interesting point to bring up. I've always called, now I know they call it a Floyd Rose tremolo system. I've always called like a Bigsby on a Gretsch or whatever, or most of your guitars. I've always called those like a tremolo bar. I'm sorry, a vibrato bar. Mm-hmm. Because if you get down to the specifics of what tremolo and what vibrato is, vibrato is pitch based, tremolo is volume based. So tremolo, like a tremolo pedal.
Yeah, that's true. Or tremolo on a Fender on a blackface amp. That is volume.
It's a volume thing, a volume effect.
Right.
Where vibrato is a similar effect, but it's with pitch.
Right.
So it's interesting that they called it a tremolo bar or a tremolo system. You ever think about that?
I have never thought about that, but you are 100% correct.
But I mean, like gigantic guitar companies will call it like Bigsby calls it their tremolo system. Like get the Bigsby B5 tremolo. It's
I don't know if there's a gap in my knowledge about semantics on this or not, but that is true. Tremolo, a lot of boutique tremolo pedals that seek to emulate those great blackface Fender amps that make the tremolo effect, like the How Soon Is Now from the Smiths. Bobble, 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 bobble. They come with volume boosts to make up for the gain difference in the perceived volume difference.
Right.
There's no volume difference, but when you have a hard tremolo effect, just the way the ear hears it sonically and physically.
Yeah.
There's a perceived volume difference, so you can bump gain that makes up for that.
Right.
Whereas you're right, vibrato is bending a note.
Yeah, or
which is what a tremolo system does. You have a whammy bar, famously from Wayne. Let's insert the clip of Crucial Taunt.
Or it's when they're in the guitar store
and
and
the Strat.
They see the Strat and I think this is before
Tia Carrera.
He has the cash to
the
buy
whammy bar.
Wow, 64 Fender Stratocaster classic white with triple single coil pickups and a whammy bar.
Stop torturing yourself, man. You'll never afford it. Live in the now.
It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine. Yes, my good man. I'd like to have a look at this Fender Stratocaster, please.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Again?
Yes.
Excuse me, Wayne. Can I put the Fender back now, please?
Not today, my good man. I'm feeling saucy. I think I'm gonna buy it. Do you accept cash?
And a whammy bar. Who's playing tonight? Blah blah blah. Crucial Taunt and the Shady Beatles. Shady Beatles? How are they? Man, they suck.
So it's not just a clever name then?
No. And a whammy bar.
So despite the semantic problems here, let's just describe what's significant about a Floyd Rose tremolo system.
So a Floyd Rose tremolo system, back on the bridge, back there by your right hand, by the volume knob and stuff like that, where the bridge is what the strings go through, and that's what kind of catches them. A Floyd Rose has way more give and take in either direction that you pull that bar. A lot more. You'll see Kirk sometimes he'll hit a note, then he'll pick up his guitar with the bar to make this crazy
and it won't
effect.
go out of tune.
Won't go out of tune, mostly because of the locking nut system.
Right.
So the nut is up there by your left hand, right where the neck turns into the headstock. The strings have to go over this little piece of, a lot of times it's bone or even there's plastic ones, metal ones, whatever. Little slots that the strings go through to keep them in place. Now,
and most guitars, it's just 6 little rivets.
Yep.
But a locking nut, you have these 3 little square
like
washers.
There's like a hex key thing on top
that you tighten down with an Allen wrench, and they tighten it down at the nut.
Yeah, so it tightens down so much that you can take that tremolo or vibrato
Whammy
bar. Whammy bar. And I mean, you've seen guys that'll go like,
it's called a dive bomb.
Dive bomb. It literally goes down to, you can push it down to where the strings are just flopping around and don't make even hardly any audible noise.
And it won't go out of tune.
Bring it back up and it's still in tune.
Whereas I have an actual Fender Stratocaster, and I have a tremolo arm or a whammy bar, and I do more of the David Gilmour, I tap-roo it.
Yeah.
But if I am a little heavy-handed on that, because it's not like a Bigsby.
Right.
Which I guess we'll talk about that in a second. It's like a normal 6-string, 6-saddle tremolo arm with 3 springs in the back.
Right.
That shit will go out of tune. If I'm not careful, it'll go out of tune real quick. And
you can still push that thing down all the way and get those strings floppy. When you pull that thing back up, it's going to be out of tune.
And even if you don't even push it to where it's floppy, if you just hit it a little hard, if you're not just using it for very simple touch, color,
it's a slight effect.
It'll go out of tune.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Ethan's right with these locking nut Floyd Rose, you can fucking push that, and that shit will be in tune. Yeah. And it's a great. Dimebag Darrell did those great harmonic dive bombs.
Oh yeah.
And he'd make it sound like a horse. Like
a good example is the right after the quiet intro of Cemetery Gates, you hear that.
That's a dive bomb.
That's
a dive bomb.
It's a dive bomb.
So most of Kirk's guitars, unlike James doesn't really have any Floyd Rose locking nuts.
Hey, I don't think he ever messed with that stuff.
But obviously James doesn't do a lot of leads, so
yeah.
Kirk's all have this, and it's a hallmark of metal music, and
it's
obviously
a part of his sound. I mean, there's some key signature points in his leads over the years where he uses that.
Now, what's interesting is Kirk doesn't always play the original This Hot Caution guitar. Of course, he has duplicates and
right.
I was actually watching one of their rig rundowns the other day. They have a whole rig that they keep in Europe, including guitars. Whole rig they keep in the States because they're touring at such a level that it doesn't make sense to ship all that shit.
Oh yeah, it costs a ton of money to do that.
But
Kingsley did the same thing when I toured with him.
Right. It's very practical.
Yeah, you have an A and a B rig.
Sometimes
C.
Sometimes D and E and F and G and H and I and J.
I got a Z rig.
But you can spot the original if you're a keen observer. If you're watching them play live on the Grammys or whatever the fuck. If Kirk's playing the Caution Hot guitar, you can tell it's the original by there's nothing on the back of the headstock and no truss rod cover. The truss rod cover is a thin piece of wood that goes over right above the nut that we just talked about, where the locking nut would be, that covers up access to a truss rod. A truss rod is a metal rod that goes through the whole neck of the guitar.
Yeah, keep going. Tell me more.
And then Jenna Jameson comes in.
Oh.
I just realized the other day that Jenna Jameson is now like a pro-Trump, super conservative,
really
mom blogger now. Do you know who Jenna Jameson is?
Yeah, she was like a porn star, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you've read about her.
No, I know who she is. She was like a famous pornography star.
One of the most famous porn stars of all time.
Yeah.
Of course, I just read about that in a book.
Called The Most Famous Porn Stars of All Time.
Called Pornhub.com.
Which this episode is sponsored by.
Anyway, you brought it into porn world, by the way.
I did? You mentioned Jenna Jameson first.
I was talking about rods, and you were like, "Go on,
go on."
Don't tempt me with pornography talk, because I'm metaphorically and literally balls deep in it. Can I say that on Melody Podcast?
You just did.
I'm obviously just kidding about all this.
This is a joke. That's not Clint's favorite porn star.
I'm not kidding.
It's
okay.
Debbie.
So you can tell. So the truss rod. The truss rod is actually kind of important in guitar. It's a metal rod that goes through the neck of the guitar, and it's what you adjust to keep the guitar neck straight.
Yeah, keep it balanced.
When it's, I mean, guitars are made out of wood, obviously. When it's hot, when it's cold, wood constricts and expands. And the truss rod's what keeps the neck straight and keeps everything intonated.
Right. Yeah.
It's an important part of a guitar.
Yeah. It was oftentimes when I was out teching with Kings Leon. I would have to adjust the truss rod. We would be up in Canada in like February, and it's really fucking cold. And you pull a guitar out of a case, and it adjusts to the temperature of the room, but there's something off about it. And there's ways to measure. Essentially, you want to measure, not necessarily with a ruler or anything, but you base the distance when you push down the first and 15th fret. Or really where the curve of the neck is by the body. And
you want a slight bow in the neck.
A slight bow.
You don't want it to be completely flush.
Right. But yeah, I would often have to adjust that kind of stuff, and it's not hard.
An Allen wrench, right? Is
Yeah,
how you...
Allen wrench. Yeah, it's not a hard thing to do. A lot of people that are learning how to work on guitars are really intimidated by that because you immediately think like I'm going to snap the neck. You're not going to,
or do like irreparable damage.
Right, exactly. But no, it's a pretty easy thing to work on.
Now, this is the first guitar we run into that is a production line signature model. Guess how much the ESP one is? Don't look, just guess.
$5,000.
It is $5,000.
Did I guess right?
It's $5,000. Now,
Glenn, tell Ethan what he's won today.
You've won a divorce from your wife because you bought a $5,000 Kirk Hammett signature guitar.
You're so correct.
Now you can buy the LTD version, which is the more economy version, for $1,000. But goddamn, $5,000. Are people buying these?
I mean, I know that's
high.
It's very high. I know it's a really well-made guitar, handmade, handcrafted
in Japan,
artisan.
But I could see like make the nice one $24.99. Make the economy one $8.99.
Yeah.
You will sell more. Hire me to be your liaison.
Why do you think Fender has been doing so well lately? They have economy guitars that are badass.
You got it.
To your right. That Fender Coronado I have right there.
To my right? To the listener's right.
To the listener's right.
On your toilet.
I have a Fender Coronado, which is a reissue.
You will see a roll of toilet paper that you will use to wipe your bum.
Yeah. Just above that, a black 2015, 14? Whenever
Are you asking me how old that guitar? How old your guitar is?
Thinking out loud.
Oh, I believe. Hold on. Judging by
Let
the
me do a
block
carbon
inlays,
dating test here.
But anyways, all to say, that guitar is a reissue of what they used to make in the 60s, which flopped, and I think it flopped again because they discontinued it.
The Coronado.
But it's a badass guitar. It's like a 335 double cutaway hollow body with the classic 70s bigger Fender headstock, but a little different. And they went for like $7.99.
I can tell you why it failed. No one wants to see a 335 arch top with a Fender headstock.
Guess who does and bought one?
No one wants
Ethan.
to see 6 in a line versus the 3 to a side.
See, I think it looks so cool because it's so unique looking.
Well, you're you, and I represent America.
I represent the rest of the world's opinion on these
By
things.
the way, not that I sincerely really care. I'm just curious. How long is this episode so far?
Hour and a half.
Wow. All right.
Pre-editing.
Wow. Okay. I hope everyone's enjoying the ride.
Yeah, because we got like 25 pages of
what,
guitars
though?
left.
You know what I'll say to you, dude? I'm having a good time.
I'm having a great time.
I miss spending time with you, and I miss spending time with our listeners. It's been a really busy few weeks of work.
Yeah. I've been kind of like neck deep in my record and
I know.
doing other work, and I'm playing a show soon at Exit In, and
you got to get your band
prepping all this.
You got to get your band rehearsed for it.
Yeah, I'm the only guy that does all the work for my project because it's just me. So yeah,
I look forward to these nights, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah,
I don't care if it goes long.
Happy to be here.
And I do. It feels weird to talk to these people because I'm looking right into your eyes. I do appreciate the people who are listening.
You can say gazing. It's fine.
We've been doing some mild gazing. All right, good God, let's move on. Okay, 91. We're still in 91. Again, now this is one of my favorite guitars. Although I was surprised to find in my research, not a favorite really in the fan base.
I love this guitar.
Because this guitar that we're about to talk about has largely been retired. He's not playing it very often. I'm talking about the ESP KH3 Spider Les Paul.
I love this guitar. This was a big guitar in the Black Album era.
And Load and Reload, which I think is why I have an affinity for it. It's like the ESP Eclipse, which is the Les Paul style, but it's a Les Paul Junior style. It's actually like, what do you call that again? A Firebrand?
It's called a Firebrand, yeah.
It's similar to that, actually. It's a little bit smaller. It's thinner. There's no binding.
Thinner than that?
It's about as thin as that.
Okay.
But it's all black, no binding. Of course, there's the puss head spider, kind of yellow spider guy.
Love that.
Of course, the skull and crossbones.
Yep.
EMG 81s, which he has 81s in both pickups instead of the 8160.
Right.
Because he wanted both those motherfuckers hot. The 81's the hotter one. This one for the bridge. His signature, the whole Kirk Hammett, not a KH, whole Kirk Hammett signature on the headstock. He ended up adding a number 13 sticker later, which I don't love. I don't know what's significant about it.
Lucky 13?
Maybe. Well, I don't know. But to me,
it's a common thing, you know. It would.
My friend runs that. That's a tattoo shop.
It's like
is that Doy Gardner's place?
No. That's Black 13.
Black 13.
Yeah.
Shit.
I know Doy. Black 13.
I know Doy better. I know Doy. I've been tattooed there.
Did Doy do it? Because Doy tattooed me, and he's not even a tattoo artist. He just
That's
runs
the
it.
weird thing. Doy also opened up, partnered on a new bar in town. It's right in 5 Points.
Doy he's one of my friends who he lives his life in a way. He buys real estate. He's not wealthy. He's just smart.
He's smart. Yeah, very smart.
He opened Black 13, a tattoo joint that's pretty cool. He's buying this new thing. Like, and then he's a musician. We know him through music.
He's a really
right?
good drummer.
But he's able to like do. So he plays drums with Elise, who's one of my best friends, one of my main writing partners.
Right.
And whenever I can, I go do gigs with Elise. But I got to get paid. I got to get paid. He's able to just go play with her whenever.
Yeah.
Because he's like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And he's
He
not much
is.
older than me. And we come from the same. He's from Mobile, Alabama. I'm from Birmingham.
I didn't know he was from there.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's where his mom lives and shit.
Okay.
So I look at his life decisions. I'm like, am I just totally failing? Because it's not like he's not like Elon Musk or anything.
Of course.
And I would say he is similar to you and I and some of our friends.
Yeah.
On the happiness level, he's trying to figure it all out. But he's smart.
He's a smart
He's
dude.
made some good financial
decisions. He's one of
decisions.
the kindest, most loving people
And he's
you'll ever meet.
fucking sweetheart. And he's
Yeah.
been through some shit.
Yeah.
Man, what a good dude.
What a good dude.
Doy Gardner.
Doy.
Look him up.
Hey, Doy. You listening?
Hey, Doy.
No,
He's
you're
not.
You're definitely not.
He's not. Okay.
He's yelling at his phone. I am listening.
Why were we talking about that?
13.
Oh, the 13. Yeah, so there's a 13 sticker. Now, I found a picture in my research of this of James playing this guitar.
Yeah.
It looks so weird on James.
I'm sure it does. They've been other than the early years of like Gibsons, once we kind of hit the Black Album era, they kind of become opposites on style of guitars.
I saw someone today on the forums, where I lurk more now than I lurk more there now than I
Post?
comment
Yeah.
or post because it's hard. It's murky.
I got to be honest. I kind of gave up on the forums.
It's hard. It's hard over there.
In general, and I've discussed this before. In general, I post stuff on Instagram and Twitter from time to time, but the older I get, I'm kind of getting more in James mode, where I'm kind of just withdrawing from a lot of it.
Well,
because I know I'm going to get sucked in.
I totally agree, and like
it's like a YouTube comment section.
I'm way more active in the podcast socials than my own personal socials, and even then, I'm with you. It's getting harder on the forums, especially now during kind of a hiatus. The boys are on a break, and there's some really strong personalities that kind of rule the roost over there, and I don't have a lot of respect over there for reasons that are maybe justified, maybe that aren't, but I can't see them because I'm me.
Yeah.
And so that discourages me, but we do have some big allies over there who have great voices there. Kent Bell, the dude is the big collector who made that whole collection thing.
Oh yeah.
He's well respected over there. We have a lot of allies there, but I don't know. I have a weird vibe over there. So I lurk mostly these days.
Right.
But I did see someone today that was like, James has the coolest. Out of all the years of guitars, James is the coolest, But the reactionary devil's advocate in me was like, I don't know. All the horror shit we're about to get into is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I guess if I was really asked in a vacuum, I agree. They do diverge.
They do diverge. I mean, I'm with whoever said that on the forums.
It's true,
and this
right?
is not dogging Kirk's guitars at all.
Well, because we're about to get into some of Kirk's coolest shit.
Of course, yeah. But if someone gunned to head said, "Hey, Kirk's or James's guitars," James.
But I will say, just to sort of balance the scales here, if I can, the Trucksters I hated.
Didn't love the Trucksters,
and the Grinch, the Viper Grinch.
Yeah, I don't like that one either.
Hate.
But that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Anything that is an Explorer or a Snakebite. I mean, there's so many cool ones James plays.
Well, true. That's true. All right, that's true. Let's move along and see.
Let's move along.
All right.
Back to Kirk.
The 1991 ESP MV290, which is so ESP was like, we want to make you a flying V.
Yeah.
Because, Gibson, James has talked about this. I think he did it in an Instagram post before he's split from Instagram several years. Dude, this fucking cat's driving. It's like a character now.
There's a cat in my garage right now. It's my friend's cat. It's living here temporarily. His name is Kit Fox. I think they maybe thought he looks kind of like a fox, and he was a kitten when they got him, so they Kitten Fox.
But I
maybe shortened. He's a very curious cat.
I sort of brilliantly posited that it was named after Brittany Fox.
Brittany Fox, which Clint thought was a song by a glam band. I said no.
I thought Brittany Fox was like the lead singer of Vixen or something.
Okay, no, yeah, and I informed Clint that it is a glam band.
And
he's like, "What's their biggest song?" I go, "I don't know."
And then we were like, "Wouldn't it be cool if their biggest song was called I Don't Know?"
Yeah,
that's too meta. Our listeners are going to hate that joke.
Yeah, people checked out already.
I laughed pretty hard at that. Oh, they're not listening anymore.
Oh no! We're talking to ourselves right now.
They quit listening.
Yeah.
When we were talking about our when I started talking about masturbating, they were like, "We're out."
Like, I can't listen to this filth.
Now, so ESP was like, "Hey, we want to start making flying V's because the boys have had a weird relationship with Gibson. They couldn't get Gibson to really get on board, even though they were both playing V's and
for like 10 years at this point.
The Explorers, the So What, the More Beer, they just couldn't figure it out. Couldn't figure out a deal. So ESP in 91 was like, hey, we'll make you one. It had one active EMG 81 in the bridge, and it was black with a white pick guard. You may have seen it from the Black Album world.
Yeah.
And now this was the basis for what they were going to call the KH1. So we've already got the KH2, which was the Zorlak ESP, but they were going to do this KH1, which is going to be a V. I'm guessing because they wanted to go back to Kill 'Em All.
Old school days.
Let's make it KH1, the V. And it's cool. It's got these dancing devil inlays, and Kirk played it a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of a staple of 91. However, he would soon move on, and we no longer really see it. In 94, he bought a 1960 Gibson Les Paul Sunburst, which 58, 59, and 60 are huge collectible years for Les Pauls.
Oh, yeah.
The only reason I wanted to bring this up is because there was a phase during the Shit Hits the Sheds tour in 94 where Kirk had dreadlocks. Paul? And I wanted to bring this up because there's a famous picture of, when people talk about, Kirk had dreads, when you Google that, you can only find a few pictures of it. Oddly.
But it happened.
And in one of the pictures, he's playing this Les Paul.
I think it was his reggae phase.
Stand down.
I think he was getting into Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and Lee Scratch Perry. And
I'm looking forward to when you do the Melody Podcast radio episode, doing the Burn. What's the record called? Burn It.
Let It Burn.
Let It Burn.
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping that for maybe 3 or 4 of the songs, you talk about how you invited me to help you write them, and then it never happened.
Oh my gosh! Next album was all co-written by Clint Wells.
Hey, guess what? This time, I will not be sleeping on that.
Listen, it wasn't a thing. I can get into it later on my radio episode, but it wasn't a thing of like...
He was like, I finished it with Paul.
I don't want to... There was literally 3 songs. It wasn't a thing where I was like, I don't want to write a song with Clint. I really did.
I know.
But it's hard enough for us to like...
You really did, but somehow you didn't. Despite how much you did, you did.
If it makes you feel any better, there wasn't anybody else besides Paul that had any writing credits on this thing.
I got to rib you on it.
Well, you did.
Just because I am a songwriter.
And that's episode 84. See you later. I'm out. I'm leaving my own house right now.
I am excited about that episode because I do want to hear about... Because you're an interesting cat. I do want to hear about, like... Because you strike me... And I guess we're pretty close now.
Yeah,
but you do strike me as a pretty optimistic dude, even though I know about your family stuff and I know about what your life's like, and I know you've been through a lot.
Yeah, I get deep on
this
record.
And you do have a song called Helpless that when you sent me the demo for, that hit me hard.
Yeah.
I did what we all do when we listen to music.
Yeah.
I put my own stuff into it.
Sure, yeah.
I do want to hear you talk about why you wrote some of these songs. And
yeah, I'll definitely, like I said before, do a radio episode and preview all the songs. I thought about on my other podcast, Pirate Satellite, which has kind of been on hold for a few months, maybe like once...
There is no Dana, only Zool.
Are you the gatekeeper?
Ray, if anyone ever asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
But I thought about maybe after I put out the record, maybe a couple weeks after, of doing an episode on my other podcast, Pirate Satellite, playing every song and explaining all the...
On a hurdy-gurdy.
On a hurdy-gurdy, of course. Well, that's a given.
Of course.
But explaining, the meanings behind every song, and maybe people will dig that. I don't know. Because for me, there's some of the more personal stuff I've written on this record
It does sound personal.
Some heavy stuff. Well, here's the thing.
Again, I have the privilege of having the record and being able to listen to it whenever I fucking want to.
But like for me, like I can't not write that kind of stuff. When like so you write with Elise, for instance, and your goal is to write this for someone else.
I'm able to.
So it might stem from personal experience.
I'm able to write from a distance.
Right. But I'm writing my own songs, and I'm going to put my fucking name on.
Right.
I'm not going to write something goofy or silly. You know what I mean? Like content-wise. So I just, I came to a place in my life when I did my first EP where I was like, this is what I'm dealing with in my life. I'm going to write about it. And it's a great therapy, great way to get it out. It's also scary as shit because you're going to put it out in the world and people are going to hear it and maybe ask you questions about it. But I got to the point where I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, this is reality. This is truth. This is my life. This is what I've gone through, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, but this record is, being that it's my first full-length record, I mean, there's 10 songs of personal stuff. I mean, personal stuff, and there's 3 like political songs on there. I've never really dabbled in that, and it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And those have become like important songs to me now. So, anyways, that's the preview for whenever I do this.
Well, I think it'll be good. I mean, a few radio episodes back, I did 10 of my little songies and talked about why I wrote them and how it happened and whatever. And who, I don't know if anyone will care. And
people care. People
really did respond to that. And I had a couple political songs on there, and I talk candidly about it. Like I'm no fucking political scientist, but here's how I sat with it, and here's what I'm wrestling with. And even I'm thinking specifically about an email I got from Kevin Van Dam,
right? Yeah,
who was like, "Hey, like you're the one political song I had." He was like, ideologically he disagreed with, but sort of philosophically and spiritually, even he was like, I loved it, and it started a dialogue with me and him, and all that to say, like, I think that episode would be real dope for all of us to hear.
Isn't that the beauty of music though? Is it like
totally
you can listen to a song and like you may not agree with somebody politically, spiritually, personally, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's something in that song that you hear that you
resonate with.
You put your own life into it, your own story into it, and you're like, wow, that's a really powerful chorus or bridge or whatever. I mean, there's songs that by bands I love that I listen to, and it like really affects me. Like if I'm in a certain mood or whatever, it might give me chills one night. And I may not know what the actual meaning of the song is, but the lyrics that I'm listening to I'm applying to my own life, my own story, and that's when I hear those, it has a profound effect on me. And that's what I love about music, is that like I might one day meet that guy that wrote that song and be like, hey, what's that song about? And he'll be like, oh, that's a song about how much I like arcades or whatever, something.
Hey, speaking of that, if you were to meet Kirk, not James or Lars, not some big, you wrote Unforgiven, blah, blah, blah. What if we met Kirk? Talking about guitars and guitar playing.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think you might say to Kirk?
I think, honestly...
Not to put you on the spot.
No. I love this question. I think maybe as we were talking about guitars and gear and this and that, I might stray from that and be like, hey, man, I'm from Southern California, and I've only surfed once in my life. Can we go out in the ocean and go surfing?
He would love that.
Because I think that's where we'd have...
He wouldn't love to surf with you. He'd be mortified by that idea.
Well, I've surfed one time in my life. I did stand up.
I think he'd love to talk to you about surfing.
Yeah, but he might be the kind of guy that's like, dude, you've only surfed once, and you're from the beach.
Come live with me in Hawaii.
No, he'd be like, let's go out on the ocean. I'll teach you some stuff. But I think that's one of those moments, probably as a surfer, when you're out on the ocean, like waiting for waves, and you're just having conversation, where you probably have enlightening conversation. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like if I was sitting on a surfboard in the ocean with Kirk and the waves were shitty that day,
man,
you could get into some deep shit. Yeah. Because there's no one around to like, just nothing around to distract you. It's just waves and the coast, and that's it.
Shit.
Like I've been out, like, I own a couple kayaks, and me and my wife will go out kayaking. I've gone out by myself before. I'll go out on the lake or out on the river, and
Ethan Luck into the wild.
Oh, Ethan Luck into the wild. But I'll sit out there by myself sometimes and like just
weep.
It's so quiet, and I'll weep. No, but it's one of those moments where like
totally.
it kind of opens your mind a little bit and stuff. And so yeah, I think if that opportunity ever presents itself, I'm gonna try to hit hit the waves with Kirk.
What are you doing Saturday? He's like, oh, I'm playing at the whatever stadium.
Yeah, I'm playing at.
What are you doing after that, though?
After that, though, can we go surfing on
the waves of? He's like, we're going to be at the Chicago AT&T.
That's cool. Lake Michigan's fine.
Dude, Lake Michigan's got some killer waves.
Killer waves
in February.
There's a sweet swell coming in right now.
That's such a much more noble path.
That's the first thing that entered my mind. Was like, I know Kirk's a gearhead. He collects guitars, all this stuff, and it'd be fun to talk about that. But that was my first thought. Like, I think you could really connect with someone like that, and I could connect with him, vice versa, whatever, out on the water. That's all I got to say about that.
I feel like so much of what needs to be said in those encounters has to do with you. He's heard a million times that what he did changed your life.
Sure, yeah.
It's really more about you being able to get it out.
Right.
But so my only angle on that would be to try to convey to him that the best guitar players in the world, like George Harrison,
yeah,
were limited and not only came up against boundaries but created new frontiers.
Yep.
Did shit with their limitations that everyone, as long as people care about that genre, will study.
Yeah.
And he did that.
Yeah.
In spades.
Yep.
Let alone the riff writing, let alone the bridge riff to Damage Inc. or Enter Sandman, the bridge riff to Creeping Death, his co-writes on Leper Messiah, Ride the Lightning, his solos on Faded Black. But I just think what he did with what he had, which I think really, technical peak would be Puppets and Justice.
Yeah.
Creative peaks would be Black Album through Reload.
Yeah.
You know, I would just try to, how can I say this to him in a way that hits home, that's not just the normal bullshit. Plus, him and we share a love for horror films.
Yeah.
That I would
see. I feel like you would dive into that with him more than like,
I don't. He's in the classic like Universal stuff.
But he's probably probably seen the shit you.
No, he
you
is.
love.
He wrote a blog post about The Witch, which is one of my favorite recent horror films. I know we have a listener named Bob O'Rourke, who is a huge horror buff, and
yeah,
he would be able to talk to Kirk on that level even more than me.
Right.
But it's interesting to think about, like, you can talk to the Ripper and you really want to get through to him.
You know what I would love to do with Kirk? Yoga.
Porno.
I'm not kidding.
Oh, yoga.
Porno.
Yeah. I thought for sure you'd say porno. Oh no, yoga.
I really would.
Goat yoga?
I've sure. Any yoga. All of the above yoga. I've never done yoga. I have honestly been interested in doing it lately because I have a few friends that do it and they're like, dude, it will change your life, the way you feel, this and that. And I believe that. But Kirk is a big yoga guy.
He was doing yoga famously with the fake missile thing came in, and he was like, he just told his kids, like, don't worry about it. I didn't see anything at the airport.
Yeah, at Pearl Harbor.
All right, let's fast forward to 1996.
The year I graduated high school.
And he's been making these, so that we're going to go through maybe 5 of these through 2012.
Yeah.
It's Kirk's favorite guitar, the KH2. So it's like the previous Zorlak KH2, but this is the Mummy guitar.
It's a good one.
It's got the 8160 pickups, Floyd Rose. It's just like any KH2. So we're going to get redundant here. Now, obviously, what's interesting about it is it has the Boris Karloff Mummy graphic.
Yeah.
And Kirk owns the rights to this graphic.
It's crazy.
You know, he buys all these old posters and shit. He's heavily involved in the Universal.
Huge horror fan.
Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
But he's a huge, like, classic horror fan.
Right, yeah. And he's not just like a big fan. Like, he's immersed in it.
Absolutely.
Like, he's probably friends with all their kids and grandkids and stuff.
Well, when he does his horror conventions, he actually has the children of Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. They come and make appearances at his conventions. Yeah. So it's not ever going to be a production model. These just belong to Kirk.
Yeah.
And he apparently has 5 of them. Now, one of them has the Eye of Horus inlays and some black body paint on the back, the white circle logo on the headstock, and that was made in 1992. There's no serial number. And that's his main stage guitar. And you can tell when he's playing the first one because the 2 pickups, which still have the Boris Karloff.
Yeah, the graphics on it.
You can see they're white because they've been chipped away by the pick.
Yeah, and if you see any artist playing a guitar that they've had for a long time, you see wear and tear on that thing, and that's usually from the pick.
Like Willie Nelson, his famous guitar has a huge hole in it.
Yeah, trigger.
Right.
Yeah, that is a fucking hole in it.
And that's no joke.
I did some research on that guitar recently. Just me and a friend were talking about it
for a thesis
paper. It's for
right?
my Willie Nelson podcast. That'd be a good podcast, actually.
All right,
he's got a long ass career.
You're like Tom Quee. Tom Quee, like every time he has someone on, he's like, "What would you do a podcast on?" It's so interesting to hear it.
Yeah,
because it's Megadeth or Foo Fighters or Green Day or Filter or what.
But a Willie Nelson podcast, that'd be cool. My friend Angie plays drums for his granddaughter.
Oh, I know Angie.
Raylyn Nelson.
Oh. That's his granddaughter, Raylyn? Is she dating Phil?
No, it's not Raylyn. There's like a kind of pop-ish artist named Raylyn, right? You and Paul talked about a Raylyn one time.
No, I know Raylyn, the country artist.
Raylyn Nelson. She's.
But Raylyn Nelson, I think my friend Phil Schaus dates her.
Oh, really? Yeah. I don't know. I've never met her.
Guy plays for Gene Simmons' band.
Okay, it's possible. I have no idea.
Is she in that band? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, Raylyn. Yeah. I know.
Okay.
My friend Phil dates her.
Oh, crazy. Okay.
That's Willie Nelson's granddaughter?
Willie Nelson's granddaughter, yeah. Yeah. So my friend Angie, who used to play in this band called the Dead Deads, has an awesome new band called Taco Mouth.
Great drummer.
She's awesome.
Cool chick.
Her and I have talked numerous times about starting an instrumental surf rock band. And it'd be so fun.
One of my favorite conversations I've ever had was the first time I met Angie at Red Door with you and Callie in East Nashville, kind of dive bar.
Yeah.
And Angie's married to a chick. She doesn't care. She likes chicks.
Neither do we.
Her and I talked about how hot Alanis Morissette is. And I've honestly, even with all my straight dude friends, I've never been able to talk about, because I've always found Alanis Morissette extremely attractive.
I think she's beautiful.
For lots of crazy... Well, I think it's more than... I think she's hot.
Yeah. I think
she's sexy.
And I think the older she got even better looking.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And so Angie... meeting her for the first time somehow, of course knowing me and knowing her, we went in deep real quick, and before I knew it, we were both like, oh dude, Alanis Morissette was like one of our first crushes. Jagged Little Pill. And so I cherish that with me and Angie.
Awesome.
So
that's a good connection.
All I have with her. All right. So his main stage guitar, you can tell the scratch pickups, and there's no serial number. That's the first one.
Right.
Now he has a backup which has the same Eyes of Horus inlays. It's the same deal, but it's like a backup guitar for when, like I said earlier, they have a rig in Europe, they have a rig in the U.S.
Or you might have two of the exact same guitar on each rig, so that if like you're on the U.S. tour
pop
and
a string or something,
pop a
goes
string on the
wrong.
main one, you can pull that other Boris one out, and it's to the crowd it looks pretty much the same.
Now he has two other backups that have hieroglyphics inlays, and he has a fifth one that's mini. Like a mini short fret.
Like a 3/4 scale length guitar?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Mummy guitar. He's rumored to have a sixth one that has the Eyes of Horus inlays, made for ESP, and sold on eBay. It was being sold for $75,000.
Did you look it up? Did it sell?
I didn't look it up.
$75,000.
Because these aren't signature production lines. I mean,
right,
these are...
Sure, of course.
These are just the five
like
made
he
for
was
him.
selling it, or like...
No, not Kirk. No, like it says like an executive at ESP. It was made for him. Maybe he passed on it. Maybe they made a fifth one.
Like, do you want this? He's like, no, I'm good. I got 5.
Or maybe they made a fifth one and never gave it to Kirk, but it's the fifth. The master luthier in Japan made it.
Right.
And some ESP bigwig was like, well, fuck it.
Why would it? I mean, to me, that sounds like the best opportunity, especially... nowadays, how giving Metallica is back to their community, to the communities they live in, the All Within My Hands Foundation. That seems like the perfect piece to like put up for an auction to donate to charity or put it back into the All Within My Hands Foundation.
To me, it sounds like it's just speculation, but it sounds like someone within ESP made it, and it was like a gift to a VP or a president.
Yeah.
Some sort of bonus, or I don't think it was Kirk's. I don't think Kirk gives a shit. He's got 4, and a mini, that are his main deals.
Right,
so,
yeah.
but what I did find fascinating was if the keen observer, as I mentioned earlier, when we see it from now on, if it's got those little white scratchy marks on the pickups, that's the original.
That's the OG right there.
And you can also look at the inlays, the Eyes of Horus inlays versus the hieroglyphic inlays. The hieroglyphic inlays, there's 2 of them. Those are both backups. I mean, that's just shit I did not know before embarking on this podcast.
Right, yeah.
I love the Mummy guitar.
Of course.
Because I associate it with mid-90s Metallica, which is my fucking era.
That's your deal.
Now, moving on to yet another amazing, iconic Kirk
Hammond
guitar.
Yeah, very iconic.
Is the ESP KH2. Same deal, KH2.
Yep.
It's going to be a hallmark from going on from now on.
The Ouija.
The Ouija. A fucking Ouija board guitar. It's amazing. Reverse Islamic flag moon and star inlays on the 1st through 12th frets. 2 stars at the 12th fret. The 8160 EMGs. Floyd Rose.
Yep.
Full signature on the headstock. The one he plays now on stage is the first one ever made. And it actually has a spelling error on it.
Oh.
So it says the William Feud Talking Bard set, B-A-A-R-D, instead of what I guess original Ouija board said, which was the William Fold, F-U-L-D, Talking Board set.
Right.
So his actually has these like big errors. And it had this glow-in-the-dark paint. So it originally glowed in the dark.
Yeah.
All the letters and shit and the goodbye and... But that paint only lasted like 10 years.
Yeah.
He's had it for so long now, the glow in the dark is out.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes it even more cool.
It totally does. Doesn't he have a black and white one?
Well, we're going to get into that.
Cream, right? We'll get to it.
Well, not cream. White and then a natural one.
Natural, that's right. Okay.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So moving on. Now, another one of my favorite guitars. You can see in the Cunning Stunts video, DVD, the 1997 ESP Wavecaster, which is like a Telecaster, but the body is clear, and there's this blue liquid in it.
It's a little weird.
So it's a transparent plexiglass Telecaster body with this blue wave machine fluid, rosewood fretboard. He played it on Am I Evil? You remember the scene of this guitar? We've done a Cutting Stunts episode.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's like a lava lamp, kind of.
It's an interesting thing. It's not something when you see you're like, oh, that's going to be his main guitar.
And we've never seen it since, really.
Right.
It was kind of a...
It might have been just for the filming of that DVD or VHS. But...
Well, from what I read, the guy who made those, and this isn't even in our notes, the guy who made them was sort of like an independent luthier.
Yeah.
He was at NAMM. And the ESP guys, who obviously have a relationship with Kirk, both Kirk and James, were just walking around NAMM and saw the guy and said, hey, can you make us one of these? Just the body, not the neck and shit. Just a Telecaster body that's plexiglass. So they made 3 of them. They gave one to Kirk, and then 2 for other people.
Yeah, I've got one. Yeah.
And Ethan Luck and
me and Clint have one.
Smells.
Clint Smells has one.
And it was Kirk's tech who came up with the idea of putting the blue wave machine liquid in it.
You think that they like approach Kirk with it like, hey, it's kind of like waves in the ocean, surfing.
There's a video of Kirk in the Cunning Stunts era, backstage, smoking a cigar, holding it and talking about it. And I can't tell if he's joking or not, but he's like, I wanted to put my urine in it, but we couldn't find a way to like preserve the urine because urine gets stale.
Preserve the urine.
It's like Kirk trying to be funny.
I feel like he's probably trying to...
But Kirk's not very funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that he's lighthearted.
Right.
But in terms of comedy...
James is the comedian in the band.
James is the dad. Yeah.
The dad.
Yeah.
He was the comedian turned dad.
He is the funniest guy in the band.
Oh, yeah. When you watch A Year and a Half Life of Metallica, there's scenes where he's hysterical.
Is it because... This is controversial to say, assuming the boys listen. Is he the smartest person in the band? James, meaning?
I mean...
Maybe Cliff was.
Overall, I mean... I would say...
Who's the smartest member of Metallica?
Well, I would say, I mean, clearly,
is that
clearly
even,
Lars is insanely smart, and he knows what's up, and
his business acumen,
of course,
his networking.
But at the end of the day, like, James is going to make the final decision. Does that make him the smartest? Or does that just make him, like, pop ahead?
When I think of the smartest people I know, it includes book smart, business-wise, but also, for me, I give a lot of respect to people who I believe are emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
That's why I love comedians so much. That's why I love George Carlin and Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
To me, the emotional intelligence, someone who has a real serious pulse on existence and life.
Right, yeah.
And I do think James could be argued that, like, his lyric writing, his composition song-wise...
Yeah, for sure.
Especially in the middle period... the 90s, he was so introspective about his parents and about culture.
I mean, I feel like if we can't answer that question, I would also say he's definitely like the deepest. Like Kirk goes deep.
I think
yoga.
Cliff was pretty deep, but yeah.
Cliff was deep. I think James probably got a lot of that from Cliff.
I agree.
You know?
They all looked up to Cliff.
Of course.
Cliff was a deep cat.
They still do.
Yeah.
We know this.
Yes,
I mean,
true.
Everyone knows this. Who doesn't know this?
Who's this character?
This is your New York aunt. Who doesn't know this about Cliff?
She's like a Connecticut aunt.
She's
not in Manhattan. She's too sensible.
It's not Manhattan, but
it's like Connecticut. It's like Danbury, Connecticut.
Who lives there? Connecticut?
Peter Criss.
Peter Criss lives there?
He's your neighbor.
I love the Kiss band. They're good. They're not bad.
Yeah, that song Beth. It was nice.
Oh, beautiful song.
About coming home to your wife. You've been on the road. You're tired.
Gorgeous.
Beth, I hear you calling, but
who writes that? Who writes that?
Me and the boys have been playing, but we came home right now.
What is this character's name? Gosh, I got so much development to do.
What is her name?
Glenda?
Glenda's close, but that's not it. Claudette? That's not it.
It's
250
something East Coast.
It's East Coast, but it's like 70s.
It's almost like East Coast 70s.
Marla. Is Marla?
Italian, maybe influence.
Marla? It's not quite Marla, is it?
No. Joyce?
Jolene? Joyce? Joyce.
Grace.
Look, I didn't have a choice. They called me Joyce.
That's right. Who names their kid that?
Look, he's a nice man. He said a lot of nice things. The Unforgiven. The Unforgiven 2.
The Unforgiven 3? There's 3 of them. Who writes 3 Unforgivens? It's the character that basically, like, you're always questioning everything. Who does that?
How can I be lost if I have nowhere to go? I searched for seas of gold. How come it's got so cold? Is that what Joyce is saying?
I think Joyce is a good one.
Joyce.
Let's mark that as tentative, and we'll get back to you in a few episodes. And
let's mark me as tentative right now, because I'm tie.
I'm tired too. Let's mark off that guitar.
We have so many guitars to talk about.
I know.
You want to kind of go through fast.
Let's kind of. Well, there's not a lot of notes on the next 15,000.
Let me just count for our listeners right now. How many guitars do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We have 21 more guitars to do. All right, let's go fast.
Let's breeze through them. Cause
I kind of feel like Joyce. Look, let's go fast.
Who lists this many guitars? Why would you do that?
Let's just do it fast.
Don't do that.
Let's just do it right, but let's do it fast.
All right, go.
All right,
go.
97, the ESP KH4 Fuck You guitar. Basically just like a KH2, but it's got a Perloyd pick guard, and it says Fuck You on the 12th fret. It also had was outfitted. We do need to camp out here for a second because this is super weird. It's a very 90s thing.
Who camps?
It had a Roland MIDI unit in it, the VG8, which is like weird. It was like this weird bar pickup that was a MIDI bar that you could plug into a pedal board or a computer, and that's what he used to get a lot of the weird, like the fixer sound,
right?
All the weird sounds on load and reload.
MIDI means musical instrument digital interface.
But it's outdated now. No one uses a MIDI pickup on their guitar anymore. Is that still a thing?
No,
I mean James uses it for his acoustic.
There's MIDI switching, things like that. You know, MIDI is used mostly for communication between like your board and your pedal rack.
But this was a bar that was like basically sat right above the bridge pickup,
right?
And all the information that went into that was MIDI.
Yeah,
and you could. It was like a multi-effects.
You can make it sound like whatever you wanted to.
All right, let's move on. 99, the ESP M2 Frankenstein. Basically a KH2, which you're gonna hear, that's gonna get redundant for a second. String through body, custom graphics with but he had LED circuitry for the lighting on the Frankenstein.
This is very late 90s of him.
Well, he first used it on the 2000 Summer Sanitarium tour.
That late 90s, early 2000s era, a lot of the new metal bands had like light up fretboards, like the inlays would light up. Like Korn, I think, did that.
The fretboard did say, "Warning, the monster is loose," and it glowed in the dark. He had 3 of these. He had a red one where the eyes glowed, and then he had a green one. I thought it was a very cool, ominous guitar. I don't remember seeing a lot of it.
Right.
I saw the 2000 Summer Sanitarium tour.
Yeah.
I don't remember this guitar. but it's cool. Like the Dracula or the Mummy or the White Zombie or the Bride of Frankenstein, it's like the movie poster. They're busy.
Yeah.
This is just a black KH2 with like the red or green outline of Frankenstein's face.
Right, yeah.
It's a very cool guitar.
It's cool, yeah.
That I wouldn't mind seeing more of. Now, moving on. 2003, we have the ESP Flying V Red Carina. You will have noticed this on Quebec Magnetic. It was featured heavily in the Death Magnetic tour. He played it mostly on Seek and Destroy. It's basically a Flying V, and it's red.
Seek and Destroy.
What else can we say about it?
Moving on.
In 2007 and 8, we have the ESP KH2 Dracula. Now, there are 3 types of this guitar. One has the Dracula logo on the top right. 2 others have the Dracula logo on the top left. One has 2 knobs. One has 3 knobs. And then you have the sort of a Celtic cross Sabbathy inlay with the bats at the 12th fret. Now, when we say 2 knobs and 3 knobs, we mean 1 volume and 2 tone.
Yeah. That's usually what it is. Like most guitars, if it's 2 pickups, a lot of times with Gibsons, it's like 2 volumes, 2 tones. If it's a volume and if it's 2 volumes and 1 tone, that means it's one volume knob for each pickup. The tone controls both pickups.
Right.
So there you go.
It's
guitar
sort
lessons.
Of
101 with Joyce.
Let's Joyce. 2007, we have the Gibson Les Paul Cranberry Tiger Stripe. I only mention this because this is one of his interchangeable Les Pauls for the aforementioned ballads. Sanitarium.
Right. Fade to
Nothing
Black.
Else Matters. Fade to Black. He likes to play Les Pauls.
He does, yeah.
And he's got cool Les Pauls, so he interchanges those out. We have the 2008 Gibson Flying V, half white, half black. That he played on the...
that is straight up Das Scorpions.
Pretty fucking awesome.
Because I'm pretty sure that Michael Schenker had one of those, yeah.
And it's cool. It's where it's like the bottom half of the horn is maybe black and the top half's white. And then the headstock is sort of inverted from that.
Very ska of him.
It's pretty cool.
Very two-tone.
We have the 2008 ESP M2 Devil Girl, which he did a cover of Guitar World with Adam Jones from Tool, which Tool is one of my favorite bands of all time. The Devil Girl was painted actually onto the guitar by an artist named Ryden. All right, we can keep moving on. 2009, the ESP KH2 Bride of Frankenstein, where the inlays were like the streaks of hair. Which, by the way,
very cool one.
What's the Mel Brooks Son of Frankenstein? What's the Mel Brooks film?
Young Frankenstein?
Young Frankenstein,
yes. With Gene Wilder, yeah.
But
Great
Madeline Kahn plays the Bride of Frankenstein. And Madeline Kahn... I don't want to sound like a creep. I feel like I've been talking about porno and stuff, but like Madeline Kahn is one of my 70s. I'm like in love with her. It's not even sexual. It's like I love Madeline Kahn. She was in She was in What's Up Doc, the Peter Bogdanovich film.
Okay.
She was in Blazing Saddles.
What a great movie.
Madeline Kahn.
How about some more beans, Mr. Taggart? I'd say you had enough.
But so she played the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
In Young Frankenstein with Gene Wilder.
Was she the one in Blazing Saddles that kind of had the like Russian-ish accent?
She was like wearing the corset. And
she was. She came out and did like the tease show or whatever for all the cowboys, and she's beautiful.
I'm just in love with her.
Beautiful woman.
I'm in love with her. All right, so with that
Who
guitar,
dresses like that though?
Joyce, stay out of it. Now we have the 2009 ESP KH2, the white and black Ouija. Now, this was the 10-year anniversary of the original Ouija, which we've talked about before.
Right.
Limited to 50 pieces each. I would love to have one of those. Of course, I don't.
Well, thanks to Patreon, we can make it happen.
Totally. Get on the ride there. Now, another notable guitar we've talked about on our Quebec Magnetic episode. 2009, the Teufel Birdfish, which you can see him playing during Judas Kiss. The super weird German guitar with the 2 weird tubes.
Don't like this. It's very like steampunk. I'm not a... When you and I watched Quebec Magnetic, it was kind of like, what the fuck is that?
I don't love it.
I don't love it at all.
I don't love it.
No.
But there were only 500 made, so in terms of collector's items, I mean, it's cool in the sense that, I mean, it's unique.
Did 500 people buy that?
No. Only one, Kirk Hammett.
He was
still $499.
They paid him to take it. They're like, please take this thing. We made 500 of them. Take one, please.
Now, for those of you who heard my Metal Gear Podcast Radio Deep Cuts episode, Judas Kiss is one of my favorite songs.
Great song.
I love Kirk's playing on it. Yeah, and the lyrics to that song are just amazing.
Yeah.
Judas lives, recite this vow, become your new god now. Hello.
That's so good.
One of James's best lyrics.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
All right, moving on from that. 2009, TC Customs Death Magnetic Flying V. Now, this is badass. The inlays say Death Magnetic. The body is like a Schenker Flying V, but it's the coffin. The coffin's a magnet.
Right.
And death's coming towards it. You can't go without saying that. We have the 2009 ESP KH2 SE Green Burst, which when we did our 30th anniversary shows, Kirk played that guitar a lot. It's one of my least favorites because
I don't like the guitar that
it's
much.
Just a KH2 ESP with its kind of does a black to green thing towards the center.
I'm not a fan. Now I know I have a green Gretsch right over here. It's
no, but what do you call that?
Green, smoke green.
That's mint green.
I think it's technically smoke green. The original name when I first bought the guitar, to my knowledge, was two-tone Cadillac green because Gretsch got the color from Cadillac.
Okay, with kind of an olive pickguard.
Yeah, it's like a dark olive green with like a light smoke green. That's a great green. But like when you get into like
but the black
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze green.
Totally. Black to like
the Hetfield
green.
baritone like
the Viper.
The Viper, yeah.
Although it's a little cooler than the Viper green is like hot rod, bright green.
If it teeters in the shade of green that could possibly look bitchin' under a black light, maybe don't make that guitar.
In 2010, they have the KH2 Ouija Natural, which was just like the black and white Ouija board guitar, but it's sort of a natural maple top, maple flame finish. Pretty bitchin', actually. Yeah. Pretty cool.
That's a cool guitar, yeah.
I mean, a guitar with a Ouija board is right at my... I'm wearing a pentagram ring right now. That's just right at my alley.
Yeah,
I don't believe in any of that, but I love the...
You love the idea of it.
I just love the mythology,
right?
And this, and almost, and I mean this sincerely, the stupidity of it. It's so stupid and fun,
right?
I've been watching. So there's a thing called Shudder, which is basically like Netflix for horror films.
Okay, yeah.
It's $4.99 a month, whereas Netflix is what, $9.99.
I think something like that, yeah, $10.
And it's just a streaming service for horror films. Now they did a special a few weeks ago called the John Briggs Drive-In. It's basically a drive-in theater curated, hosted B-movie festival, 12 hours long.
Oh wow, okay. On Shudder.
On Shudder,
yeah.
And they originally did it as like you could only watch it live on like a Saturday night. I was on the road. So many people watched it, it crashed the whole system.
Wow.
By popular demand, they made it available for streaming. So I've just been sort of dipping in as I've been home. Last night I watched Sorority Girls of the Slimeball Bowlerama.
I love B-movie horror.
It's just a total like booby B-movie.
Totally.
It's super fun.
Anyone that's like having sex in the movie gets murdered. Like,
and there's not even that much. It's just like a boob here and there. A lot of like evil demon shit.
Right.
Everyone dies. It's bad news.
There's a movie that I need to find online called Twisted Nightmare. It's from like the early 80s. Great. So, quick story. The church I grew up at are
played
like,
this every night.
Yeah, totally. the main like band leader for like our high school band at church, like I played with, his brother, this guy named Philip, he did percussion for the Beach Boys, did a bunch of cool touring stuff, but also like dabbled in acting and was in this movie called Twisted Nightmare. At the time, I worked at Blockbuster Video. And
wow, what a relic.
Yeah, and me and my buddy Aaron Wattman were like, we got to find this movie. And at one point, I went into our system at Blockbuster and we had one copy of it.
VHS?
On VHS, I could rent for free. Like,
this is pre.
This is still pre.
This is pre Laserdisc.
This is still pre. It's post Laserdisc, pre DVD.
Okay.
It's a weird time in media.
Yes.
But we went and watched it, and it's terrible. But it's so bad, it's good kind of movie. You know.
Well, even in bed last night, like, so we have Roku, where the Roku 4, you can put headphones into the remote control. And my wife, who knows that I'm sort of an amateur cinephile, has accepted the fact that she's going to go night-night, I'm going to watch a movie.
Right.
So she's all snuggled up to me. I'm in headphone world watching our big screen TV in our bedroom.
Yeah.
And she's like, what, sleepily, what are you watching? And of course I told her, I said, well, sorority girls of the slime ball Bolorama. And we're just like laughing in bed.
She wakes up, she's like, excuse me?
She was like, is it like one of those like booby movies? And I was like, oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about it. I'm not into it.
Yeah.
In that, not the way I was when I was like 10.
Sure, of course.
But yeah, it's a stupid boob movie.
I mean, that's what most, even like, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, like, had that stuff in it.
It's almost like if there aren't boobs and if people aren't punished for being sexually promiscuous, then what's the fucking point?
That's what a horror movie is.
That's
at the very least, that's what a B horror movie is, or what an 80s horror movie is.
Totally. And this was from 88.
Yeah.
And Linnea Quigley and like all these great Scream Queens are in it. And
right.
Anyway, I don't know how we started talking about that. Let's keep moving.
2012.
Okay, then we get the KH2 White Zombie.
This is a great one. This has become a classic, even though it's not that old. I think
it's not that old. You can actually buy one of these for $1,000, the LTD version.
Yeah,
which is the bolt-on neck, American made. It's not the Japanese luthier made.
They've had. I mean, for signature guitars, Metallica's had a lot of them.
Yeah, they have. They actually really have.
I mean, in different ones. It's like Eric Clapton has always had an Eric Clapton Strat. But like
the Blackie,
right? But to have like a signature guitar that's like a specific graphic you play live, like I wouldn't buy that because like that's one of those things. Like the second you pull it out, you're like, oh yeah, the Kirk Hammett guitar, Whereas like the Brian Setzer guitar or whatever is just a bitchin' looking Gretsch,
right?
I mean, if I had stupid money, I'd be like, sure, I'll buy one of these.
Well, Ace Frehley's the same. He has a signature Les Paul that has 3 humbuckers in a line,
right?
Because he's famously took one of the humbuckers out and put a smoke bomb in.
Mm-hmm.
And in the headstock inlay, it's kind of a picture of his iconic makeup. And even that's a little bit too much for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's
or the Joe Perry signature Les Paul. It says Joe Perry like right above where the fretboard meets the body.
Yeah, I'm not down with that.
Yeah, me neither.
If I was a famous guitar player and they'd say we want to do a signature guitar, we want to put your actual signature on there somewhere, I'd be like, no. What we're going to design together is going to be my signature. That's why I like the snakebite. I know there's
Billy Joe's like that. His signature guitars.
I don't think his says anything on there. I just watched that video of him explaining the guitar and like
Johnny Marr's the same deal. Johnny Marr's, who's one of my favorite guitar players of all time from the Smiths.
Yeah,
his signature guitar is basically like a white Jaguar. But if you go look up like how they arrived at what made it his guitar.
Yeah.
There's all these huge details in the shape of the neck.
Yeah.
Which common shapes of necks would be a C shape, a U shape, a V shape.
Yeah.
Jumbo frets. Is it 21 frets or 22 frets, 24 frets? Of course, the pickups.
Yeah.
Is it a stop tail bridge? The tremolo arm? How many springs are in the back? Radius of the neck.
Totally.
It's extremely tailored. They went through many iterations to land on it, but it doesn't really say Johnny Marr anywhere.
But the whole thing basically says Johnny Marr. Like all the details of it.
It is Johnny. Yeah, it is a Johnny Marr guitar.
Yeah. But
I feel like the snake bites are like that.
You don't need to put James Martin Hetfield.
We don't need a picture of James's acne scarred face.
Now if it said, Jimmy James Jam Esquire Senior Junior Senior the second.
Het Senior Junior Het Pre-Esquire, Postmodern Esquire, Hetfield.
Sign me up. Here's $1,000.
Well, here's $5,000.
Here's the end of my marriage.
These are pretty expensive. It does make me wonder who's playing these goddamn things. So, in 2014, Kirk bought what is probably his most famous guitar, even though he doesn't play it that much, but he does tour with this guitar.
Yeah.
Which actually says a lot about him. It is a 1959, which is the most coveted year of a Les Paul, and it's called the Greenie. And it's called that because it was originally owned by Peter Green of Fleetwood Mac. Before Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac was a British sort of blues progressive band.
Right, yeah.
And Peter Green is a renowned guitar player who owned this guitar. After Peter Green owned it, Gary Moore of Thin Lizzy, who's one of Metallica's heroes, owned it and played it for 25 years. He died. Kirk bought the guitar for a rumored $2 million.
That's...
And, bought it as an investment. But he's got so much money and loves the guitar so much. It's such a shame to buy such a cool guitar and never play it.
Right.
That I like that he takes it on the road. He
Well, I mean,
played
Gary
it on
Moore
the
played
Whiskey
for
in the
25
Jar.
years, so it's not like it was in pristine condition.
No,
and
it's all fucked up.
Yeah.
It's all dinged
But
up.
the
and fucked
history
up.
in that guitar is what you're paying for. You're paying for the hours and years that were put into that guitar. Every nick and scratch, all the wear and tear on that guitar is what you're paying for. It has history. It's been played. It's seasoned. You know.
I mean, for me, the equivalent would be a Kirk Hammett guitar, or James's Electra.
Yeah.
Or David Gilmour's. He has that
The
red
black
Strat.
Oh yeah.
Or we could think of you and I, this Joe Strummer guitar that you have, the
Like
one
the
that's
original
based
one.
off.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You want to fucking play him, dude. You're not
Totally.
going to put him in a case in a museum. You want to. I mean,
Yeah,
I
the
want to
freaking
play
Kurt,
him.
Kurt Cobain Mustang, or
Right, a Kirk Cobain Mustang,
Right.
or a Stone Gossard Les Paul, or
Yeah.
a Mike McCready Strat, or something. You want to fucking play those guitars, dude.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
I like that Kirk takes him out on the road.
Yeah, me too. So, side note, I've probably mentioned this on the show, but when I went to the Pearl Jam show, got it 3 years ago now at this point.
The one you didn't invite me
not
to,
to bring
yes.
damn it, not to bring that up. But when my buddy Matty, who's their stage manager, walked me through all the backline, we got over to McCready's 2 vaults. He has 20 guitars on the road, average. He brings out like, what's his favorite
59.
59.
He's obsessed with it.
He had like
Strats and Les
multiple
Pauls.
59 Les Pauls and Strats on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he jokingly told me like, yeah, both these vaults are each worth like a couple $1 million or something crazy. And
it's cool.
But I was
though.
like, that's rad. Those are guitars that are meant to be played. And I think
I agree.
One day when Mike McCready is gone, all those guitars will be worth even more.
Because he owned them and played them.
And played them and toured with
That's
them.
what's so cool about seeing him talk about him, or Kirk. Is like,
Right.
there's a sense where they're big enough fans where they're sort of giddy about it. Like, I can't believe I have the Peter Green guitar.
Right.
Or Mike McCready, I can't believe I have this 59 Strat.
Right. Totally.
But there's also a sense where they got to know that, I mean, Kirk Hammett is the lead guitar player for the greatest metal band of all time.
Yeah. So you know
now,
what?
Pearl Jam can't legitimately claim to be the greatest rock band of all time. They've got the Who and Led Zeppelin and
sure,
but Pearl Jam.
But they're legends.
I mean,
yeah,
they're in my top 5. You and I have pontificated about this.
Yeah,
I've been on Single Podcast Theory. Some of our listeners might be shocked to hear about the accolades I bestow upon Pearl Jam as a Pearl Jam fan. But yeah, they got to know that them owning it too is adding to the legacy.
Yeah, and the value.
I guess it's
and
just weird to say. It would be weird for them to say that.
Sure.
And maybe that's why Kirk does play it live. Whereas I know James has bought like Carinas, 58 Explorer Carinas.
Right.
Where he doesn't play them.
Yeah.
And I know James owns other Les Pauls that he doesn't play, 58s
Right.
and 59s. Maybe part of Kirk's deal is like, part of it is like, I don't care. I bought it because I love Gary Moore
Yeah.
and Peter Green.
Right.
But part of it too is like, he knows that by him actually working that guitar in stadiums and arenas is adding value to it.
Well, and maybe one day someone else will own it, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah,
Justin Bieber's going to buy it.
Justin Bieber's going to buy it
in 2022
and rub it on his butt all day long."
Which is what he does with instruments.
Well, but I mean, let's realistically say, like some well-known guitar player, someone who's well-respected, maybe one day ends up with this guitar,
Like
and they're
a
like,
Jack
"Oh,
White
this was Peter Green's guitar, and this was Gary Moore's guitar, and then Kirk Hammett played it for this amount of time, and now it's mine."
It will for sure be that.
Yeah, that's what I think.
But like Mike and like Kirk, like both of them,
Be like Mike.
it will mean more than that they actually toured with them.
Right. Yeah.
They it's not like, oh, Kirk Hammett owned this and kept it in a vault in Hawaii.
Right. To me, it's like a passing the torch thing. You know, like when my dad is gone one day and like he leaves me his 71 Guild acoustic. On paper, it's not worth a ton, but every bit of scratching on the thing, wear and tear on the thing, he put into it. Now it's my turn.
It's your birthright.
Yeah. Now it's my turn to put in some wear and tear on this thing.
No, totally.
You know?
I mean, I've already told my daughter, who's turning 4 in a few weeks.
Yeah, she gets it.
I've like pointed to all my vinyl, which she loves our vinyl.
Right.
But she loves the tactile playing with it. But I've told her, hey, all of this is yours.
Yeah.
Or she'll come fuck with my guitars in the studio. And part of me's kind of like, hey, careful. Yeah, you careful. But then I'll tell her, like, hey, I know I just hardened you about that. You can't fuck with these right now because you're young. But these are all yours. Mm-hmm. They're going to be yours. Who am I giving them to?
Right.
Kirk Hammett? No. He's got enough guitars.
He's got a few.
But they do, yeah, it does become part of the legacy. It is cool that they play them.
Yes.
All right, so we got a few more.
We're almost done here.
We got the 2014 ESP KH2 Nosferatu. Same as everything, but it's Nosferatu.
Yeah.
The 2017, now this is a cool guitar, dude. The ESP KH2 Demonology. And this is from an excerpt from ESP.com. Painted with a number of sigils, which are ancient symbols reputed to be imbued with magical power that allows the owner to summon demonic entities. Now, of course, none of that's true. It's just fun, stupid bullshit.
It's fun stuff.
But that's fucking awesome.
The idea is cool.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Skull and crossbones inlay, scalped frets, as we talked about earlier, the 8160 pickups, Floyd Rose, a tombstone case. Here lies this guitar you bought for $1 million.
Also, good nod to Death Magnetic.
The signature model on sale. On sale.
Oh, it's on sale?
$5,500.
It's Kirk Hammett and his guitar spot.
Like, for $5,500, I want to buy Kirk's butt. Is this
for
butt?
$5,500?
Like, what do you... Like, I want to buy Kirk's DNA for that.
$5,500.
I'm just not... Who's buying it? Now, you can...
Who does that?
You can buy the economy line LTD version for $1,200, which makes way more sense. I say make the ESP version $2,000.
Right.
Make the LTD version $899.
Right, exactly.
$799.
Yeah.
And then you're immediately selling more guitars.
He's selling way more guitars.
Right?
Yes, yes. Which is brings us right back to Gibson and them fucking up their legacy. Why have $5,000 guitars? Sell them for cheaper. Sell more of them.
The quality disparity between a Gibson and an Epiphone is significant enough to not do it.
Dude,
Epiphones aren't great guitars.
They're not great, but
and they're still kind of expensive.
I've played many. Like, I used to own a Sheridan.
I had a Sheridan too for a long time.
Loved it.
But that's a $600 guitar.
It brings me back to my original point, which is essentially, if it looks good, it feels good, it sounds good, it is good. Whether that guitar costs $200 or $2,000. You know?
I agree with you.
Stop fighting me on this, Clint.
I don't want to be unreasonable here, but I agree with you.
Fuck you, man.
All right, we got two more. 2018, the ESP KH2 again, but the purple sparkle.
You love this one.
Well, I love that Lars has the purple kit. Rob has the purple Aria 2 basses. Or not Lars, Robert, sorry.
Robert.
Lars with the purple Tama kit. Robert with the purple Aria 2s.
Are they Aria 2s or are they Warwicks? The ones with the tiny bodies? Those ones?
Yeah.
I think they're Warwicks.
Okay, well, we're going to do a whole episode on that.
Something similar.
I may be wrong.
We'll get into it later.
And then Kirk comes out with the KH2 Sparkle. I do love it. You and I have clashed.
Yeah, I don't love it.
On, Kirk. What's been weird? When we started this podcast, Kirk was doing this kind of like debonair vest. You called it the Olive Garden.
yeah, he's your host at Olive Garden,
which I liked.
Table for four.
I liked that. Since he's been doing these kind of like track pants, a shirt with like a witch on it.
Yeah,
he's been doing like a weird horror metal.
Yeah, I like that better.
But on the forums, on the Metallica forums, people have been hunting down like his clothing. They're like $500 shirts.
Of course they are.
$7,000 pants.
Of course they are. Yes.
Me and Gene Froman have been joking about that because like she'll send me like, oh, I found like the Gap version of his track pants with the red lines on them. I'm like, but they're not the same. You find his actually, they're like
$2,000
hundreds
or
of dollars. I mean, it's just insane.
I know, it's stupid.
So he went from, he probably heard the podcast, heard you bitching about him.
He probably, yeah, it's all
being
my
a
fault.
Jay Alexander host.
It's my fault, yeah.
And now he is rocking like, but they're like boutique badass t-shirts.
Sure, yeah.
And then like badass cool like pants.
Yeah. I don't love the Purple Sparkle guitar.
But the Purple Sparkle guitar though,
I don't love it. However, I will say this. I love that Kirk is owning it.
Well, then James had we talked about on the Hetfield guitar episode, the purple baritone snakebite for Dream No More. And he's like, well, they had and James is like a flame maple.
Right.
Purple.
Maybe
whereas
they're all
Kirk's
just,
is like a sparkle.
Maybe it's all a big tribute to Prince.
I don't know. They don't do that a lot. They don't do tributes.
I know they don't. I'm just fantasizing.
I think when we're maybe 5 or 10 years out from the phase we're all in, with maybe it's a hardwired thing.
Yeah.
It'll be a visual of this time. It's like a time capsule. Like,
sure. Oh, it was the purple guitar era.
Because Lars did the white Tama stuff.
Yeah, every tour, his kit changes. Every album cycle.
And I think Lars started the trend. I think Lars started it with the purple Tama.
Well, even before that, he did the orange sparkle Tama before that.
But I'm just saying for this
one
this era.
Yeah.
And then Rob started playing purple basses. Kirk got the purple sparkle, and now James has the purple snakebite.
Yeah.
I think it's cool, man.
They're going to end up.
The dude who does the So What stuff, Stefan, whatever his last name is, he was like interviewing James about the Carl guitar, which is made up from the Carlson.
The garage.
Yeah. And then also about the purple one, and he says like, and James is like, oh, like I figured the other guys have the purple shit. I want to get a purple one too. And Stefan's like, oh, so we could all be deep purple.
Oh, good one,
when
Stefan.
When a blind man cries, oh, I'm just singing that song.
You love it.
That was my number one Metallica cover.
It was, yeah. Last one.
Oh, okay. So now
one last one.
So Kirk has his own Bonebreaker limited edition guitar pickups, and he has a little infomercial for the pickups in which you can see this guitar, which is the KH2 Hula Ghouls. Let's listen for a second.
Yeah, it's really short.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Kirk Hammett from Metallica, and I've been working with EMG pickups to find the perfect pickup combination, and I think I finally found it. This is my LTD Hula Ghouls guitar fitted with my new EMG signature set, the Kirk Hammett Bonebreaker Combo. Working with EMG over the years, we've arrived at this combo that's perfect for recording and live shows. It has fat, clean tones with a searing lead and a solid rhythm crunch.
Interesting.
And that's sort of the video where I first saw the Hula Ghouls, and there's that guitar.
There's that guitar.
It seems like he's maybe destined to indefinitely make KH2s.
That's like his flagship
which goes back
guitar.
to the Zorlak, with varying different graphics.
Right. I think that's become a signature Kirk Hammett thing, is like very detailed graphics, sometimes horror themed, whatever.
Which I gotta say, it's pretty cool, pretty unique.
It's very Kirk Hammett.
Who else?
It's Kirk Hammett.
What other guitar player has done anything like that, really?
Paul Gilbert, Yngwie Malmsteen.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Yngwie Malmsteen plays the same yellow butternut squash yellow Strat.
And pulls up to the gig in his 87 Trans Am.
What's the car company he's way into? Like Ferrari or he's into this huge...
I don't know, Ducati. That's motorcycles mostly, but...
No, he has like stickers on all his guitars and shit in his studio, like Ferrari or something.
I in no way will ever claim to be an Yngwie fan.
He's so unlikable.
I have no idea.
He's so unlikable. All right, so speaking of
unlikable.
Well, in contrast to unlikable, because I personally think Kirk Hammett is one of the most likable musicians I know of.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, we have dips in what happened in St. Anger, what happened on Hardwired.
Yeah.
All right, we have problems if we're going to be objective. But really, pound for pound, one of the most likable heavy metal guitar players.
Sure, of course, yeah.
I mean, he's one of my heroes.
Absolutely.
I love him so much.
I want to surf with him.
I admire him, and I'm so indebted to him. Now, We've talked about his guitars. What's your favorite Kirk Hammett guitar? Or maybe your top 2 or 3?
I'm going to just throw out my...
You told me it might surprise me.
Yeah, I'm going to throw out my favorite Kirk Hammett guitar. I'm going with the Jackson V.
Oh, no. That does shock me.
The one where he really, in the 90s, played on Sabbath True.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I love that guitar.
I'm shocked.
It has nothing to do with the fact that it's a V or it's a Jackson. It's just... And he still pulls it out, from time to time. And it's like... I don't know. There's something about that guitar. I think what it is for me is it's such a huge stamp on that early '90s Metallica era, where like I just remember seeing that a lot. Yeah,
even though you're more of a Justice cat, I'm more of a Black Album cat.
I am a Justice cat, but at the same time, it's undeniable that the Black Album era, at least for me, like being like right before I started high school, it was like it had such an impact on my life musically, what I was wearing, like everything,
Okay, so if that's number 1, the Jackson, Randy Rhoads, what would be number 2?
Probably the Les Paul shape with the spider web.
Oh yeah, the spider.
I love that one.
The ESP spider.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Love that one. What about you?
Number 1 for me, just because of the symbolism, would have to be the Ouija.
The Ouija. Which color?
The black one.
Okay.
Although the white one, I think, is a bitchin' take on it.
It's cool, yeah.
The 10th anniversary. But yeah, the black Ouija guitar sort of captures everything I love about hard music, metal, the occult.
Right.
And again, I don't believe in any of that. I fairly reject all that too. But I just think it's fun. If I found out that like he really believed that it had some sort of like dark energy or power, that might bum me out.
Sure.
I'd be like, ooh. But just from the fun of it,
it wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know. I think
I'd be like, well, okay. I mean, I choose to believe that Kirk is a much deeper cat than that.
I do too. I think he's
way more in like not hippie realm, but like more like namaste.
I agree.
Like does yoga. Surfs.
I think he relegates that same stuff into the same place that he puts comic books and horror movie. The Birds and
right.
Psycho and guys like him and I, which we may differ spiritually, I don't know. We sort of compartmentalize all that. A lot of it has to do with our childhood.
Sure, yeah.
And it's just fun. It's escapism. It's silly.
Yeah.
So I love the idea. Like if someone approached me to make a guitar, I might do something like that. Make a pentagram.
Right.
And you know me. I don't care about Satan or anything in a real way.
But you think it's entertaining and funny.
I love pentagrams and I love the iconography of the occult.
Right, yeah.
So that would be my number 1. My number 2 might be that spider guitar, just like you. Just because it's so emblazoned in my mind of the era of Metallica that I feel so closely tethered to.
Yeah. If I threw out a number 3, I would say probably the OG Black and White Flying V.
Ooh, yeah. I'm the same.
Especially because he used that on the first
same
with 3-4 records, the iconic Metro show. All that stuff. There was a point where him and Heffa were both playing Gibson V's, and it was just so bitchin'.
Well, Heffa was playing the Electra.
Oh, the Electra, yeah.
But yeah, the fact that Fade to Black was that Gibson V, that 74 V.
Yeah.
I'm with you, dude. So we have the same 2 and 3.
Yeah.
The Spider, Les Paul,
and
then the
V,
the sort of classic Gibson V.
Love it.
All right, let's do some sort of final analysis. I know this is a long episode. We've talked about it. We've done 2 episodes on Kirk.
Yeah.
The shorthand now is that he's heavy on the wah. He doesn't compose the solos. He's under kind of a microscope. I'm not sure a lot of it's fair. Some of it is.
Yeah. He also might be at that point in his life and his age too, where like maybe that creativity isn't what it used to be.
It's hard to sustain that.
Well, sure, and the stuff that he wrote when he was in his 20s, even in his 30s. I can't speak for this personally because I'm not even 40 yet, but Kirk is 50, probably 52, 53?
Early 50s.
I'm sure that stuff is fucking tough to play when you get the older you get, your body's breaking down. So a lot of times when you see like, live footage of Kirk and he's like chunking stuff he's been playing for 35 years, you're like, what the fuck, Kirk? Come on. But at the same time, I can't put myself in his shoes and be like, well, how am I going to be playing my parts when I'm that age? Will I be doing great? Now, there's some guitar players that are going into their 70s that are still just like, yep, no problem, got it. Eddie Van Halen, he's not in his 70s, but that guy still can play exactly what he played in the 70s and 80s.
And even better.
But he's an anomaly. I mean, that guy, I guarantee when maybe Kirk is off tour and hasn't maybe, I don't know him, but maybe he doesn't touch a guitar for like 2 months and just surfs and does yoga and hangs out with his family.
I think Eddie Van Halen would be one. David Gilmour, Mike Campbell.
Yeah.
I saw Mike Campbell play last April. And, I mean, it was as good as I've ever seen footage of him.
Right.
Even when he was 22.
But what if Mike Campbell was doing like the fucking shreddy, fast, Your hands can only move that fast for so long.
I agree. I think part of it is physical and biological. I think part of it is he's proved himself. The work he did,
very much so.
The work he did from Ride the Lightning through Justice will live way longer than a YouTube comment.
Yep.
And so maybe he's smart enough and zen enough to know that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't keep up when you're playing that kind of music with that kind of dexterity. You can never compete with who you were in your 20s.
Of course not. Yeah.
And you achieve success and wealth and shit goes down in your life with your wife or your kids or your extracurricular activities, and it's hard to maintain the same fire, especially when you're in a band with Hetfield and Ulrich, who are gonna deliver something saucy.
Right.
I do think the success of Hardwired, I do not think they knew it would be that successful. In terms of it'd be that well received. They'd be invited to play the Grammys. They'd sell out stadiums, then arenas, be able to book European stadiums, which they are doing.
Yeah.
Do a whole nother North American arena tour.
Right.
I think the success of it might... Because, Kirk had said, well, my phone got lost, which, we don't know. Maybe it did. James has said some weird shit in press, alluded to that maybe not being the case.
Right.
But now Kirk is saying, I have over 500 ideas or whatever he's saying.
Yeah.
I think they didn't think anyone would care as much as they did.
Right, yeah. I mean, coming off the heels of Death Magnetic and Saint Anger.
Well, Death Magnetic was 2008.
Yeah. 8 years prior to this being released.
8 years.
8 years between records.
And they were doing shit. They toured it.
Of course.
They did a world tour. They did the Orion festivals. They made Through the Never.
Yeah.
They weren't idle.
Of course.
And then it took them 2 years to write the record. And of course, for whatever reason, Kirk was dealing with shit and couldn't be there.
Yeah.
Other than to play solos. The solos, which we don't sort of like the solos as much as
I've
previous
come around
records.
to some of them for sure.
Me too, especially now that we're dead.
Yeah.
And Moth, actually.
Yeah.
But I do think that they were all, including Lars, surprised.
Yeah, I think so.
But, dude, the fact that it went from fan petitions for Spit Out the Bone to them doing it in Tuning Room and sort of slogging through it.
Yeah.
Because that's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
To them playing it in the thrash slot every fucking night.
Yeah.
It became a live staple.
Yep.
And that came from fan demand. From
Yep.
people like you and I and many of our listeners.
Yeah. I think they were surprised. I think they were listening to their fans more so than ever on this record. I think...
Well, because what else do they have?
Right. I think they were just shocked. Like, holy shit. Like, this is way more well received than we ever expected. We got to start hacking some of the stuff out because we got to debut pretty much almost all these songs.
They still haven't done Am I Savage, Here Comes Revenge,
Murder
One.
I think that's it, right?
I feel like there's one more. They've done... Well, okay, let's just go down it. They've done Hardwired, Atlas, Now That We're Dead, Moth
and Flame, Halo of Fire.
Dream, Halo, Confusion, Spit, Mankind. So that leaves Am I Savage, Here Comes Revenge,
Murder One.
Is that it?
I think that's it, yeah. Man.
What a cool record. Should we go? Should we get out of here?
We have one more thing to do. Contest winners.
The contest. All right, let's do this real quick. So
we got some contest winners.
As a way to say thank you to our patrons.
For anyone that hated this episode and was just waiting for this announcement, we're sorry, but...
All right. Every month we're going to give 5 gifts away to our patrons.
Yeah.
yet another reason to get on board. Even if you only do $1, you're in the running for these prizes. So, all right, let's just do it 5-1. Our fifth prize is a Metal Up Your Podcast t-shirt, whatever size you want, assuming we have this size.
Yeah.
Which we have most sizes. Goes to Dylan McIntyre.
Hey, Dylan McIntyre.
All right, Dylan.
Good job, Dylan.
By the way, if you win any of these gifts, send us an email, metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com, and tell us what size you want for the shirts. Number 4, Sarah Cleveland, a Metal Up Your Podcast t-shirt.
Nice work.
Congrats, Sarah.
Good job.
She lives in Cleveland, I think.
I hope so.
That's why she's named Cleveland.
New Jersey. Yeah.
Number 3, Blair Toms, a Load Era poster.
Oh.
Congrats, Blair.
Dude, my name's Blair and I hate Load.
Dude, kill them all for... I got off the ride at Ride the Lightning.
Yeah.
Because they had a ballad.
Literally after that track.
Number 2, for the sealed DVD of Pride, Passion, and Glory, 3 Nights in Mexico City, is our friend and patron, Treat Clement.
Treat.
All right, Treat, send us that email.
What a treat to win that.
What a treat, Clement, to win the treat.
Hey, trick or treat.
And number 1, the Big Daddy prize, which is the hard...
A date with me and Clint at Shoney's.
That ends at the Jenna Jameson Drive-In Theater.
And
at the sorority...
And Hall of Fame.
Sorority girls at the Slime Ball Ballorama. For the Back to the Front hardcover edition...
This is a bitchin' book.
Our friend of the show, and fellow podcaster, Chris Nace.
No
Bacon
way.
and Nace.
Yes.
Congrats, Chris.
Chris, you are the winner.
Now, all of you who won, send us an email, metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com. I won the thing. Here's my address.
There you go. That's all you have to do. It's pretty simple. We'll get it shipped out to you ASAP. And
even if I've not been drinking, I slur our email address.
metalupyourpodcastshow.com.
metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com.
Metal Up Your Podcast
We didn't
show.
really think that over well in the beginning, did we? We didn't know what would happen.
Well, I tried to get Metal Up Your Podcast at
gmail.com. That's way better.
Yeah. Can always change it, but not
fuck
now.
it.
Fuck it. Who cares? It's our Lulu of this podcast. God, I hope not, actually.
No. What? I reject that.
Okay, fine. You know what I reject is continuing to record because I'm so tired.
Let's say goodbye.
Let's say goodbye.
Let's gratefully and humbly say goodbye.
We're at, without anything inserted here before I edit this episode, which may not even happen tonight. We'll see. It's already midnight. We're at 2 hours and 46 minutes, and we did it. We talked about Kirk's guitars. I hope you liked it. I hope you're grateful. I hope you love and praise us more.
Ooh.
Just kidding. You've been requesting gear episodes for a long time, and we have finally dove into that. We're getting through it. We're going to get to Rob. We're going to get to Jason, which would be cool. We're going to get to Cliff, Lars.
Well, we're going to have a whole conversation about the amps, about fractals versus tube amps.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Kempers. We're going to talk about effects pedals. Kirk has his own line of effects pedals.
Yeah, we're going to get through all that stuff.
We're going to do all that stuff. So,
everything.
We are grateful for all of you listening out there.
Of course.
We'll see you on the socials throughout the week, and we'll see you next week on the Flip Flop. God damn it. Peace.
Adios.
If you were our advisor, what would you say? Then I would say, delete that.